Their lubricating gel treatment could rejuvenate his lost cartilage. Safe, effective, no surgery. Long story short, John is now back to being active without pain or medication.
There is an alternative to knee replacement surgery. Stop living in pain. Call the Joint Relief Institute today, 708-315-6800, or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. That's 708-315-6800. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted. Reclaim your mobility with the Joint Relief Institute.
This news alert is brought to you by Secure Controls Incorporated. With no signs of retail theft slowing down, organized retail crime now impacts the overall economy with losses trending toward over $150 billion by 2026. It's important now more than ever to send a message to thieves. If you're a VP or Director of Loss Prevention or Asset Protection, you already are aware of these alarming statistics. How can you protect your inventory and get back to rising profitability? It only takes one click to secure.com. That's SE-KURE.com. With active anti-theft security solutions and products from Secure Controls, you're assured state-of-the-art protection of your merchandise. Secure will keep thieves second-guessing and provide peace of mind to your employees. Check out our products manufactured in the USA. From electronic sensors and alarms to mechanical and clothing security to customized solutions, we're the original inventors of anti-shoplifting products. Request our product catalog today at secure.com, SE-KURE.com, or call 800-250-9265.
Salem News Channel, your go-to source for news and conservative opinion. We reveal how politics hits home, how your family, your freedoms, your way of life are debated, challenged, even regulated. Every day we cut through the noise, pitting nonsense against common sense. On every screen, in every home, Salem News Channel is across America.
82 million Americans rely on AM radio for news, sports, talk, and emergency alerts. But unless Congress acts now, AM could disappear from new cars. Tell lawmakers AM radio matters to you. Text AM to 39179 and urge Congress to pass the AM Radio for Every Vehicle Act before it's too late.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
What if 2026 could be the best year ever for your retirement? It can when you take control of your financial future with physical precious metals. Call Advantage Gold at 800-741-GOLD right now and get your free gold rollover kit valued at $49, yours just for calling. More Americans than ever are discovering the power of rolling over a portion of their IRA or 401k into physical gold and silver. With a simple, tax and penalty-free rollover, you can add stability, security, and strength to your retirement. In times of inflation, uncertainty, or market swings, gold has been a steady, tangible, proven store of value. And in 2026, it could be the key to building the retirement you've always imagined. That's why so many people trust Advantage Gold, the #1 rated gold IRA company in America for 10 years running. Call 800-741-GOLD to get your free gold rollover kit. Call 800-741-GOLD and let 2026 be the year you finally take control. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call 800-741-GOLD.
Mike Lindell has a passion to help people get the best sleep of their life. He started by creating the best pillow ever, and right now he is passing the best prices to you when you use promo code LIBERTY. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get wholesale pricing on the classic My Pillows for $17.98. Transform any mattress with a My Mattress topper and save up to $100. Get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack towel set for only $39.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Rest easy remembering that MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty. Call today, 800-489-0201, promo code LIBERTY.
The fight against sexual exploitation begins at home. Sexual exploitation is no longer a distant issue. It's happening here in our communities, schools, and even our homes. Every day, millions of Americans are targeted and trapped through manipulation, coercion, and deception. Sexploited in America, The Invisible War is a powerful docuseries exposing the hidden systems and cultural blind spots that allow exploitation to thrive, and gives a voice to the survivors and families forever changed by it. Raw, unfiltered, deeply human, these stories reveal both the devastating realities of exploitation and the extraordinary courage of those who refuse to be silenced. Sexploited in America, the docuseries is presented by AGA Media and available to everyone now at salemnow.com.
Hello, can I have your attention, please? My name is Hugh McKenty, and I'm a devout listener of The Answer. They have partnered with Food for the Poor consistently for the last few years. In the past, I've always wanted to participate, but unfortunately never had the extra cash at the end of the year to do so. But last weekend, I received the mail, and there was a bonus check for $2,500 from Mack Truck for selling commercial vehicles. I decided that I was all in. As I mentioned, I sell commercial vehicles. Everything from Mack, Volvo, Hino, Isuzu, new and used. I've been selling for over 30 years in the Chicagoland market. Call me at 630-918-9534 or check me out on the web. Google my name, Hugh McKenty, and Hugh is spelled H-U-G-H, McKenty is spelled M-C-K-E-N-T-Y. All right, thank you very much for your time.
To contact Hugh McKenty, search Hugh McKenty on LinkedIn or call 630-918-9534. That's 630-918-9534.
Twitchy.com brings you the latest in social news, highlighting and reacting to important conversations from America's most prominent journalists, politicians, and celebrities. Twitchy's kinetic group of editors deliver fast and amusing content around the clock to tell you who said what in global and political news, sports, entertainment, and media. If it's news, they're on it. If it should be news, they're ahead of it. Stay connected to the newswire of the 21st century with Twitchy.com. Twitchy.com.
Now, your official weather forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy with breezy conditions in the afternoon, reaching a high of 51. Tonight, expect mostly cloudy skies with a chance of a shower in some areas early in the evening, followed by a late snow shower. The low temperature will drop to 24. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina on AM 560. The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, as telegraphed, lawfare is always a component of the left strategy. All of the institutions, the media institutions in a free society are there for their political machinations and nothing more. They'll tear them asunder if it serves them in their expediency, pursuit of power, or they'll rally to their defense and the sacrosanct nature of said institutions if the institutions are aiding and abetting their Machiavellian pursuit of power. And so yesterday, Pajamas Boy, the mayor of what was formerly known as Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, put together a little presser with AG Keith Ellison up there to announce they have filed suit against the federal government to block the invasion of federal law enforcement. Federal law enforcement enforcing federal law in the state of Minnesota or the state of Illinois, because Illinois did the same thing. We'll get to that. It's an invasion. That's the invasion, not mass migration from third world countries like Somalia. An invasion in the form of an invitation, but federal law enforcement enforcing federal law.
What people are dealing with, man.
Yeah. I mean, we don't use the word invasion lightly. what we are seeing is thousands, plural, thousands of federal agents coming into our city. And yeah, they're having a tremendous impact on day-to-day life. And it's a negative one. And whether that's kids that are trying to get to school or businesses that are trying to open, that's police officers that are responding to 911 calls. It's just about being able to conduct daily life right here in our city. And look, this is not about fraud. When you have a fraudster, you investigate, you charge, you prosecute, you hold the person accountable, and then they get put in jail as an individual. They get put in jail as an individual. You do not hold an entire community or an entire city accountable for the actions of the fraudsters. That's not a novel concept. That's just the way this works in American society, and we should be abiding by that.
Good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And let me say thank you, Mayor Herr. Let me say thank you to
we don't need to hear Keith Ellison's thank yous. But, and I'm sorry, what is ICE doing? Has ICE set up internment camps for all the residents of what was formerly known as Minneapolis who are of Somali extraction? I don't believe so. Have they done that anywhere? Are they rounding up en masse people of a particular ethnicity, race, country of origin, and putting them in internment camps? We're taking everybody from country X and we'll figure it out later. Where have they done that? That's the type of straw man argument you get from a pajamas boy politician like Jacob Frey or Jelly Belly, his tough talk notwithstanding. The state of Illinois, city of Chicago filed a lawsuit against DHS, alleging federal agents use unlawful and dangerous tactics. The lawsuit filed by Attorney General Kwame Raoul, talk about being the executive's personal attorney as opposed to the people's. At the state level, that's Kwame Raoul for Jelly Belly. I mean, in pursuit of his own political interests, of course, as well. The suit alleges people arrested without warrants or probable cause, that tear gas was used indiscriminately, and the typical rhetoric that you hear from these open borders politicians. And let's not forget that's what they are. The open borders abolish ICE politicians. And for those who pretend, for the purposes of their own political expediency at present, like J.B. Pritzker, that they are not for open borders, and they do not want to abolish ICE, and they do want to remove people in this country illegally who pose a public safety or national security risk, who are convicted violent criminals, people charged or convicted of violent crimes. If they are serious about that, then it's a simple question. So since they were released into the interior of this country, both at the border and out of places like Illinois prisons, who is on the job to do what you say you want to see done? That question hasn't been put to Jelly Belly or any of these other open borders, sanctuary jurisdiction, abolish ICE politicians. And as I said yesterday, the good news is that they're feeling their oats a little bit more right now because they have a cause celeb in Renee Good. And so they're getting more aggressively honest about their actual positions in a way they haven't been for a while. Not since Trump's first term. I mean, in terms of stating it in no uncertain terms. Yes, I'm for open borders. Yes, I want to abolish ICE. Why not just lay it on the table? Because they know they can't really sell that. But right now, some of them think they can. Crossover artist Frances Parker Spice, educated in Chicago, made her way to Massachusetts to become the designate socialist Spice Girl from Massachusetts. You know her, Ayanna Pressley. This is what she had to say about ICE on MSNBC. Since I'm one of the few that watch that station, I do this job for you. You're welcome.
The actions of ICE, they are unconstitutional, unlawful. They are cruel. They are rogue. They are racist. And they are terrorizing communities. They are sowing chaos and terrorizing communities. It has nothing to do with public safety. And there is a cumulative toll and impact here. You know, ICE's murder of Renee Good in broad daylight is horrific and unacceptable. She was an unarmed citizen driving on a residential street, and she was shot in her car 3 times. So whatever Jedi mind tricks Republicans try to use on the American people, that try to talk us out of what our eyes see, what our bodies experience, and the trauma that our communities are experiencing throughout this country. And of course, the horrific actions of Renee Good, who was a wife and a mother and a poet and a concerned community member, which is why she was out there protesting in the first place. Her brutal murder, these things do not happen they're not in isolation. This is why for many years I've been calling for the abolishing of ICE.
There it is. Thank you. Was that so hard? So, it seems to me it would behoove Republicans to put that question to the people, since we now have one of the neo-Marxist party's leading lights on the record again. Abolish ICE. And again, if you want people in this country who pose a public safety or national security threat, if you want them removed from this country, or even the larger population of those in this country illegally, then who do you suggest does that job? And how do you suggest they do it? If you're a little squeamish about these confrontations, mainly initiated by professional protesters and craven politicians, who should do the job that you want done? You just want it to magically occur seamlessly and without incident when you have professional antagonists both in public office and on the government payroll, all of our payrolls, antagonizing, impeding those trying to carry out the job you say you want done. It's a sort of a messy business, isn't it? When you allow things to roll out of control for as long as we have. But there are simple questions that we should frame this discussion with so we get somewhere in terms of challenging people who live by sentiment alone. You know, and that includes some on the center right. Boy, I had a conversation yesterday with a couple of people. I was shocked to hear their characterization of the ICE-involved shooting in what was formerly Minneapolis. Nick, Northwest Side, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan. You know what's going on. One thing I noticed since Trump's been pushing to get rid of these bad people, we don't hear in the news the stories about women and girls have been sexually brutalized, and it's something that has to be considered. People have to understand that he's getting things done, and that's one thing I noticed right away over these months. And that's it. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Nick. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, I know. I mean, it's you have to remind people, as I did yesterday, about Katie Abraham and Denny McCann and Jocelyn Nungaray and Rachel Morin and Laken Riley. They forget. So you have to remind people about the victims and the victims' families. What say you to them about this matter and what should be done? Do they have, I mean, they're the Angel families are essentially speaking with one voice on this. Do they have a say, or are they just racists and terrorists and Nazis as well? Are the black and brown people who've been victimized, their families, are they racists and terrorists and Nazis too? Are the black and brown federal law enforcement officers, are they racists and Nazis just rounding up people because they're black and brown too? I just want to understand the position. And the only way you get a cleaner distillation of it is to press these individuals with questions. In a way, I don't think we've done as good a job as we could have for those that do get access to them. Bill, LaSalle County.
Hi, thanks for taking my call. I typically watch local news on the weekend just for weather, and they were presenting the story about the ice shooting in Minnesota, and they never once during their storyline showed the image or the video of the officer in front of the vehicle. And you wonder why even your center-right friends don't understand the whole premise of what happened. And most of the people in Chicagoland get their news from 2579.
Thanks for the call, Bill. Jim LaGrange.
Yeah, I think the term ICE has lost its punch. I think we need to go back to using its full name, which is Immigration and Customs Enforcement. It's a little bit like when, the Republicans had the Tea Party. Everyone, Tea Party. Taxed enough already. That has more impact. It has more meaning. So I'd love for people to just complete the thought, use the full language, use the full term, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. I know it's a little longer, but I think it has more meaning compared to just using ICE. It's lost its meaning to the public. Thanks.
All right. No more ice, baby. Got it. Thanks for the call, Jim. Coming up at 5:38. I mean, we'd be remiss if we didn't include the important viewpoints of those in professional sports and Hollywood in this conversation, don't you think? We'll do that at 5:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 35 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. The body of a missing Chicago school teacher has been found. Family members say the body of Linda Brown was found in Lake Michigan yesterday. Officials say her body was discovered near the area she was last seen on video. An autopsy is scheduled for later today. A Rush Hospital employee is in stable condition after being struck 7 times by bullets while on her way to work yesterday morning. According to reports, that woman was approached by a dark-colored sedan when the shots rang out. The 23-year-old female victim is in stable condition. A Chicago surgeon will be transported to Ohio, where he's facing murder charges. 39-year-old Michael McKee is accused of shooting his ex-wife Monique Tepe and her husband Spencer Tepe to death on December 30th. McKee's attorney told the judge McKee plans to exercise his right to remain silent and that he plans to plead not guilty to the charges. This report is a service of People's Gas Energy Efficiency Program. The People's Gas Energy Efficiency Program provides energy-saving tips and rebates to help keep the warmth and savings in this winter. Visit peoplesgasdelivery.com/rebates because the warmest things in your house are the things that make home feel like home.
Hugh Hewitt explains our involvement in Venezuela.
They are not generating any revenue from their oil right now. They can't move it unless we allow it to move because we have sanctions, because we're enforcing those sanctions.
They are running Venezuela through the leverage they have over the only thing that Venezuela has that can make currency for the police state that is largely still in power there after Maduro was taken to the United States.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
Twitchy.com brings you the latest in social news, highlighting and reacting to important conversations from America's most prominent journalists, politicians, and celebrities. Twitchy's kinetic group of editors deliver fast and amusing content around the clock to tell you who said what in global and political news, sports, entertainment, and media. If it's news, they're on it. If it should be news, they're ahead of it. Stay connected to the newswire of the 21st century with Twitchy.com. Twitchy.com.
Don't miss cutting-edge coverage of daily news from an America First perspective on the Alex Marlow Podcast.
Paychecks are outpacing inflation. And this is actually the 5th straight quarter this has happened. We just had this monster growth under Trump, and it's not going to be touted by anyone other than us. It's going to be on Trump and others to try to point out bright spots in the economy.
Subscribe today on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
Are you prepared for the Illinois estate tax? If your estate is worth over $4 million, your heirs could face a tax bill of up to 16% when you pass. Financial advisor Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions can show you ways to potentially reduce or even eliminate that burden. One strategy is to start gifting assets during your lifetime to lower the taxable value of your estate. Another option is setting up irrevocable trusts, which can shield wealth from estate taxes. Charitable donations and life insurance policies can also be smart tools to offset tax liabilities. Call Scott Tucker and the Scott Tucker Solutions team now, 847-474-3888, or go to 560retirement.com. That's 847-474-3888, or go to 560retirement.com. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm may not give tax advice.
Start the new year off on a healthier note by taking active liver supplements from New Nordic every day. Available online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com or at your local CVS, ShopRite, Meijer Grocery, or Wegmans.
Now, your official weather forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy with breezy conditions in the afternoon, reaching a high of 51. Tonight, expect mostly cloudy skies with a chance of a shower in spots in the evening, transitioning to a late snow shower. The low will be 24. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Sports and politics and sports and politics and sports and politics and intersection. Arrogance and ignorance, arrogance, ignorance, and arrogance and ignorance. Intersection.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Of course, as I said before the news, we can't have a fulsome discussion about these matters of immigration law enforcement if we don't fold in the views of our professional athletes, our celebrities. Thankfully, we have people like Steve Kerr and Doc Rivers. And we just had the Golden Globes on Sunday night. Didn't get to it yesterday because, rank order priority. We deal with the serious stuff first, and then we try to leaven it with the less serious stuff, like the ill-informed opinions of most in celebrity circles. But it's worth noting because they do have cultural power, as I'm wont to point out. And to borrow from Charles Barkley, they're not role models, but they do have cultural power. And so last week, the Timberwolves had a moment of silence for Renee Good before their unwatchable NBA game, because the entire NBA is unwatchable. It's not specific to the Timberwolves. It's not basketball. It's a glorified shoot-around. But the Chi-Coms like it, and that's good enough for them. Okay. And by the way, conflicting reports, too, because I saw some suggestion that some of the Minnesota Timberwolves actually put, ski caps on and nose piercings in solidarity with Renee Good. And then that was disputed, that it was just a moment of silence. Either way, there was a recognition of Renee Good. I don't know how much theater there was associated with it. Conflicting reports on that. And that was the opportunity for Steve Kerr, who is still trying to come to a conclusion about the Chinese Communist Party's human rights record. You'll recall, he has been consulting, I guess, with his brother-in-law, who's some Chinese studies academic, he claims. So I don't know if we've reached a conclusion 3 years after this independent study of Steve Kerr's began. But anyway, he did take time out at a post-game presser of his Golden State Warriors, also unwatchable basketball. Although, Stephen Curry is probably the greatest shooter of all time. He is something to watch, but I digress. Congratulating the Timberwolves with a little bit of moral scorn in the direction of President Trump and federal law enforcement. He's drawn his conclusion about what happened with the killing of Renee Good. It's something you would expect to hear from someone, don't forget, who spoke at the DNC on behalf of Mamala and Field Marshal Tim.
Well, I'm glad that the Timberwolves, recognized, her life and the tragic nature of her death, and it's shameful, really, that in our country we can have law enforcement officers who commit murder and seemingly get away with it. It's shameful that the government can come out and lie about what happened when there's video and witnesses who have all come out and disputed what the government is saying. So very demoralizing, devastating to lose, anyone's life, especially in that matter. So it's terribly sad for her family and for her and for that city. And I'm glad the Timberwolves came out and expressed that sadness.
Mm-hmm. And, Steve Kerr always speaks up when it's time to speak up, as I telegraphed.
I know very well that speaking out about politics these days comes with risks. I can see the shut up and whistle tweets being fired off as we speak. But I also knew as soon as I was asked that it was too important as an American citizen not to speak up in an election of this magnitude.
Right. And again, before you go criticizing Steve Kerr, remember he did hit that 17-foot jumper that sealed Game 6 and another championship for the Jordan Bulls in 1997. So I think that gives him license to be as antagonistic towards law enforcement and the presidential administration as he wants, right? Because that's the pecking order in this country. Athletes and actors and actresses, other celebrities, influencers, and then, way down politicians, way down the line are serious people who know what they're talking about. On China, though, again, he's been wrestling with this for some time, but he's a thoughtful guy. And it's, really a hard question. It's really takes some sleuthing to figure out what President Xi is doing with the Uyghur concentration camps and the other human rights abuses on, international display during COVID. But nonetheless,
Actually, I don't. I mean, it's a really bizarre international story, and a lot of us don't know what to make of it. So it's something I'm reading about, and just like everybody is, but I'm not going to comment further.
He'll get back to you on China's human rights record. And when he was asked about it again, subsequent to that, he's very consistent in terms of what you expect from the left, which is the kind of straw man arguments you heard from Jacob Fry just a few minutes ago in announcing the lawsuit against the federal government to stop the ICE invasion, as he called it. Invasion. Law enforcement officers enforcing the law. That's an invasion to Jacob Fry because they don't want the law enforced. So. And false equivalences like this one. You want to talk about the Chinese Communist Party's human rights record. What about America's human rights record, says Steve Kerr.
But I choose not to be that soundbite.
To continue our geopolitical discussion here, in all the years that you've gone to China and the teams have gone to China, has it ever come up that the NBA's business interests in China are at odds with a country whose human rights record is not in step with the United States?
It has not come up in terms of people asking me about it, people discussing it. No. Nor has our record of human rights abuses come up either. Things that our country needs to look at and resolve, that hasn't come up either. So none of us are perfect, and we all have different issues that we have to get to. And saying that is my right as an American. Doesn't mean that I hate my country. It means I want to address things, right? But people in China didn't ask me about, people owning AR-15s and mowing each other down in a mall. I wasn't asked that question. So we can play this game all we want and go all over the map, and there's this issue and that issue, and the world is a complex place, and there's more gray than black and white.
Wow, there's a voice of moral clarity. I'll play this game as much as you want. Let's see if we can get Steve Kerr on the blower. We can recount his winning shot in 1997 too. I'll play it. I'm sorry, did the state sanction somebody to shoot up a mall and kill innocent people with a sport rifle? When did that happen? You see, Steve, the state sanctioning murder, the state setting up a concentration camp, and imprisoning minorities. Gosh, sort of a back of the hand for weaker Muslims in China. Huh. That's a different thing, isn't it, than a person choosing to break the law and commit a crime against his fellow citizens. You see the difference? If not, I can talk slower. Chinese Communist Party, America, nobody's perfect. True. No one is perfect. And no government is perfect because it's comprised of people who aren't perfect. Yeah, that's an important point. But I suppose there are some imperfections that are more profoundly immoral than others, don't you think, Steve? Not to be outdone, Doc Rivers, Proviso East very own. Let's bring him back, too. All these athletes, celebrities who have connection to Chicago. Glenn Doc Rivers, he's the coach of the Milwaukee Bucks now. Also terrible basketball because the NBA is unwatchable. I can't say that enough, as you can tell. He weighed in on this. And he chose the black and brown people. This is all about black and brown people. Got a lot to say on it. And more, if anybody will listen. I'll listen. Let's see if we can get Glenn Doc Rivers. Maybe do a little forum here with NBA coaches. Pull in Greg Popovich, too, while you're at it. Maybe get Phil Jackson. He's a big Bill Bradley fan. I'll do a little roundtable. See if those deep-thinking coaches can handle something a little bit more robust than sports talk.
Happened in Minnesota was a straight-up murder, in my opinion, and it's awful. This lady was probably trying to go home, and she didn't make it home, and that's really sad. So the whole ICE thing it's a travesty. It's clearly, to me, we're attacking brown people, and I just happen to be brown, and I don't think it should just be brown people who are upset at this. I think we all have to be. I don't care what side of this thing you are on politically. What's going on in our country right now is absolutely wrong as far as the race stuff. The politics, I'm not going to get into. The race stuff, I will, and it's just wrong, and we have to do something. But the only thing we can do right now is keep speaking up because it doesn't seem like they care, and that's troublesome. Last thing I'm going to say, because I don't want to stay on this, but I could. I keep thinking about kids. And when I grew up, the president was always the role model. And I think about that and the effect of being a bully, lying. How is that good for our kids? And that worries me for our future. So I'll stop there.
No, please. You're just getting going. 312-642-5600. Give us a call or text to that number. You're just getting going. I don't want to talk about the politics, but I'll talk about the race. Doc, I don't know how to break it to you, but if you make this a racial issue, then you're talking about the politics of the issue, aren't you now? Come on. Come on. Jerry in Norridge here on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, Dan. Thanks for taking my call. How do these quote-unquote celebrity people, how do they get away with this slanderous term of murder? George Stephanopoulos got sued for calling Trump a racist. So could these people be sued by this ICE agent for calling him a murderer?
It's possible. Thanks for the call, Jerry. I mean, what they're saying, there was a murder. They're characterizing what they saw. So if they started saying, Agent Ross is a murderer, at some point, particularly if there are no charges, yeah, possibly. You're accusing him of a violent crime. You're accusing him of a felony. And if he is not convicted, not even charged with committing a felony, Not really a public figure either, but even if you apply the public figure standard to him, actual malice with respect to slander, defamation. Yeah, because after it's widely known that this was looked into and he has been charged with no crime, and or if he's charged, he was acquitted of the crime, let's say, then you can't run around saying he's a murderer, just like you can't run around saying Trump is a convicted rapist, because he's not, without exposing yourself to litigation. I don't think we're there yet, but we could get there. Doc Rivers has deep pockets. The quality of the thinking, though, gosh, I mean, he went to Marquette. That's not a very good representation. You know, Steve Kerr went to Arizona. You don't expect much from. Just kidding. Mike, Yorkville.
Good morning, Dan. You know, it's the reason why they got deep pockets because probably China or some associates been filling it with it. But I never understood. Well, I did finally understand this morning that NBA stood for Never Back America. And it just depends on how much money you're getting from some place. I mean, these guys that have these, you know, ideas that they can just expound on as basketball players, not saying they don't have a brain, they can't think, but ultimately they should probably be thinking at the end of the day, this is my job. My job is to dribble ball, put it in a hoop, make fans excited. I don't really hear about my politics, but it seems like they're too stupid to figure that one out.
Well, thanks for the call, Mike. I mean, look, you know, I'm not a shut up and dribble guy like Laura Ingraham. I think that's silly. Just speak your piece. I mean, let's see what you got outside of you know, X's and O's as it pertains to basketball. You want to weigh in on public policy issues and the salient political issues of our day? You're an American citizen. You're a free person. You speak your piece. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is, you know, that they get to do it in a vacuum with very little pushback. Because the sports press corps is an extension of the D.C. political press corps, as I have long held. And that includes in metro areas around the country. So they're never really going to get challenged, and they never really are. Because the sports press corps, press and scare quotes, are leftist too. They want to be taken seriously, so they fold in. I mean, think about the yahoos in this city for the most part, particularly those that wade into politics. I mean, there's some good sports talkers in their space, but I mean, those who wade into politics, and some resist wading into politics smartly, but those who do, I mean, think about that. I mean, they're just an extension of what you get from the Chicago political press corps. So that's what bothers me, is they have cultural power, but it's completely unchecked because it's never challenged by a opposing perspective. And they're allowed, and this is a challenge for we conservatives. They can exist without having to engage conservatives, and that's really still, even in a fragmented media universe, not the case for conservatives vis-a-vis the left. Particularly when, just going on a tangent for a moment, when conservatives help to legitimize these propaganda outlets masquerading as news by appearing on them. And I mean, I've done it too over the years. So I mean, because for various reasons, and you know, political and otherwise, but at some point, you know, when they are gasping for air, so many of them, where there are, you know, sort of top 5% Twitter accounts in terms of followers that have exponentially more traffic and exponentially bigger audience than the NPR Times or the Chicago Tribune or these local network affiliate news stations, then why bother? Let them die a peaceful death. There was some interesting, just since I went on this tangent, there were some new ratings out for the cable news channels. I mean, do you understand? I know probably a lot of people here watch at least Fox, and at least some Fox shows, maybe some of the other shows too, just for a wider breadth of what people are saying. Fox, of course, is leading the cable news channels and audience, as they have long. But I mean, again, the cable news ratings for 2025. Fox News declined in the key 25 to 54 demo. They average 1.7 million total viewers a day. 1.7 million. This is a country of 350 million people. And 180,000 25 to 54-year-olds a day. A little bit up on total, a little bit down on the key demo. MSNBC, 915,000 total viewers per day. 80,000 25 to 54, down 40% in that demo. MSNBC, 551 total viewers a day, down 30%. 48,000 25 to 54 per day, that's down 43%. CNN, 573,000 total per day, down 16%. 102,000 25-54, down 31%. I mean, you have to remember, this is such a small fraction of the American electorate that gets their news or information from these outlets, particularly 25 to 54-year-olds, but even in the aggregate. Important perspective. We'll pick this up on the other side. It's now 6 o'clock on AM 560 WIND.
They're trying to break ice. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. In Minneapolis, where the protests rage on. Angry over what they call murder. The shooting death last week of a woman, Homeland Security says, was interfering with ICE operations and drove toward an immigration officer. Matt Finn with Fox is there.
Protesters appear to start throwing snowballs and water bottles at federal agents, who can be seen tossing tear gas canisters into the crowd as they drive off. Tensions continue to flare as both the state of Minnesota and Illinois file lawsuits against the Trump administration over federal immigration enforcement. Minnesota's lawsuit argues in part that immigration agents are invading Minneapolis and overwhelming the much smaller police force.
Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons tells Fox they're only increasing their force in Minneapolis because agents are under attack, and
we're not asking, any government agency in Minnesota to do immigration law for us, so I don't see how that's an overreach.
Now to Iran's crackdown on demonstrations against the regime.
It's hard to get a true picture of the clearly brutal regime response to protests in Iran, but the US-based group, the Human Rights Activist News Agency, says it's verified the deaths of at least 646 people, with that number expected to rise.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. President Trump's considering military action against Iran's crackdown. He's also imposed 25% tariffs on imports to the U.S. from countries that trade with Iran. The president also posted on Truth Social, "We're screwed if the Supreme Court rules he's exceeding his legal authority, imposing tariffs on goods from around the world." This morning, the justices consider a transgender rights case.
Idaho and West Virginia are asking the Supreme Court to overturn lower courts' decisions to block state laws banning transgender girls from participating in women's and girls' sports. Lower courts have concluded separately that the bans discriminate, quote, on the basis of sex and violate the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause.
That's Tanya J. Powers, America's listener.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It is 35 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Illinois is suing the Trump administration, alleging the tactics being used to enforce public safety around immigration enforcement are unlawful. Greg Bishop reports.
In a 5-minute message Monday, Attorney General Kwame Raoul said the Trump administration's enforcement of federal immigration law in the streets are hallmarks of a war zone seen on movie screens, and they have no place in an American city.
Much less at a daycare center, courthouses, in our neighborhoods, or outside our children's schools.
Raoul filed the lawsuit in federal court Monday, alleging reckless deployment of enforcers and unlawful policies. The lawsuit comes as protests continue around the fatal police-involved shooting of a woman who drove into a federal officer in Minnesota. Sunday aboard Air Force One, President Donald Trump said the officers should have immunity.
I think, frankly, they're professional agitators.
But just disrespect.
And I'd like to find out, and we are going to find out who's paying for it.
But just disrespect.
With their brand new signs and all the different things.
Federal Federal child care and welfare dollars for Illinois and 4 other states are unfrozen after a U.S. District Court judge in New York issued a temporary restraining order against the Trump administration's move to freeze $10 billion in funding. Governor J.B. Pritzker reacted on social media by saying what he called President Trump's, quote, abuse of power would not stand. The funding freeze by the Department of Health and Human Services came after alleged fraud involving federal funds for child care providers in Minnesota. The body of a missing Chicago school teacher has been found. Family members say the body of Linda Brown was found in Lake Michigan yesterday. Officials say her body was discovered near the area she was last seen on video. An autopsy is scheduled for later today. This report is a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device when you download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile or text the word app to 64636. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Mike Gallagher sees it get political very quickly.
We've got a mile worth of receipts of Democrats demanding that Trump do what he did. Chuck Schumer rips Donald Trump for ending the Maduro regime after he previously ripped him for not ending the Maduro regime. You can't make this crap up.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560, The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-330-8323 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-330-8323. That's 800-330-8323. What do you have to lose? Call 800-330-8323. Again, 800-330-8323.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-393-1881. That's 800-393-1881. 800-393-1881.
Feel like you're trying to push a boulder uphill wearing skates? If you run or manage a local business today, you're challenged like never before. We get it, and we want to help. We're Salem Surround. We're a full-service marketing agency that'll help you increase your customer base by designing incredibly effective plans to reach your consumers day, night, and everywhere they might be.
Salem Surround. Meet with a digital marketer today for ideas that will make your business stand out. Visit salemsurround.com.
If you apologize to the chair you just bumped into, you might need a better night's sleep.
People are loving Penny Mustard's double-sided memory foam mattresses.
If you make small talk with your chiropractor and ask what they do for a living, you might need a better night's sleep.
Made in Wisconsin and built to last 45% longer than the average memory foam mattress.
And backed by a 1-year comfort guarantee.
If the cashier says, "Have a great day," and you respond, "No, thank you," you might need a better night's sleep.
And a better night's sleep starts at Penny Mustard Furnishings.
PennyMustard.com.
At AlmostFreeTeeth.com, they're dedicated to making smiles great again. If you have medical PPO insurance, find out how you could save 90% off on average to get a beautiful dental implant-supported smile. Check if you qualify right now at AlmostFreeTeeth.com.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Starting the day off with a crash on the outbound side of the Stevenson right before Ashland Avenue. 2 right lanes are blocked, so watch out for delays, but right now it's not too bad. Just 15 minutes from Lakeshore to the Tri-State. Inbound is 17. Now the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn interchange is 14 minutes. Outbound is 11. A little bit sluggish in the express lanes inbound as you approach 31st Street, and then the Bishop Ford slows down on the inbound side between 111th Street and the Dan Ryan. Now the Eden looks pretty good right now, just 14 minutes both ways from Lake Cook to Montrose. The Kennedy, that's just 8 minutes in both directions from Montrose to the Burn interchange, and it's 13 minutes both ways on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office. This report is a service of the Daily Podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows with limited commercials when you subscribe for free to the Daily Podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy with breezy conditions in the afternoon, reaching a high of 51. Tonight, expect mostly cloudy skies with a chance of a shower in spots in the evening, transitioning to a late snow shower. The low will be 24. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I'm going to go back to this lawfare that we led the show with, the suit that Minnesota and the city formerly known as Minneapolis has filed to enjoin the federal government from dispatching immigration law enforcement officers to enforce federal immigration law. The same thing that's being done in the suit that Pritzker and Kwame Raoul and BLM Brandon, there's a troika that they have filed against the Department of Homeland Security for alleged unlawful tactics. I want to go back to it. Jacob Fry, Pajamas Boy, the mayor there, Somali-adjacent mayor of Minnesota, had this to say when questioned on a podcast for the Bulwark, Never Trumpers, whether or not local police can arrest federal law enforcement agents. Because this is something that has been threatened by Walz, go to war with the federal government. That's what he said. By Jelly Belly, you come for my people, you come through me. BLM Brandon, Larry Krasner, the Kim Foxx impersonator, who's still the district attorney in Philadelphia, and Jacob Fry. Here's what he said.
You're basically asking, can our cops arrest them?
Yeah.
From a legal perspective, yes. From a practical perspective, to state the reality, yeah, it does get kind of hard when they drastically outnumber us and they have bigger guns than we do. It does. And here's the thing. We don't want to create warfare in the street.
In addition to being a pathetic, sentimental barbarian, he's also a moron. And that's often the case. Whether or not a local jurisdiction can arrest federal law enforcement has nothing to do with who has more people or who has bigger weapons. What an asinine comment. Is this a firefight? Are you at war? The question is, do you have the power to, the lawful authority to? And the reason I raise that, since they have, is because I know there was, on the news, there was a discussion about the case involving girls' sports and whether or not boys have a right to play in girls' sports. That's before the Supreme Court. But yesterday, there's a key case before the Supreme Court. It's the Chevron case. And this applies to this could apply, depending on how the high court rules, to the lawfare being conducted by the left, across a wide range of issues. In part, and including sort of these environmental lawfare impresarios using federal litigation or using a state litigation to sue businesses in state courts for actions they took on behalf of the federal government, trying to get at big oil companies, for example. A good op-ed on this topic, this case, by Utah Senator Mike Lee, who's one of the brighter bulbs in the Congress. I know that doesn't necessarily take a lot of wattage to be one of the brighter bulbs there, but he's like a serious constitutionally oriented thinker. He writes about the case, giving us a little history. It's a perfect setup to in-depth history with Frank from Arlington Heights at the end of the hour. In 1812, the U.S. was bracing for another war with Britain. Congress faced the threat of foreign invasion and domestic turmoil of another kind. President Thomas Jefferson's embargoes and trade restrictions meant to punish Britain and France had devastated New England's port economies. Commerce collapsed, smuggling flourished, and local juries sympathetic to their neighbors' plight punished the customs officials and soldiers sent to enforce federal policy. Officers carrying out federal law were hauled into states' courts and treated as criminals simply for doing their duty. Does that sound familiar in terms of what local authorities want to do with respect to federal immigration law? Nothing new in this world, just the history you don't know, and Frank does, and so does Mike Lee. He goes on, whatever one thought of Jefferson's embargo, Congress recognized the problem with subjecting federal officers to hostile local juries. So in February of 1812, Congress passed a statute giving those officers the right to remove their cases to federal court where they could be heard in a more neutral venue, which is what I mentioned yesterday. Even to the extent you could get around the hurdles to charge a federal law enforcement with a local crime having to do with carrying out his official duties. That's distinct from the example I gave the other day, a nice officer here, and he gets a DUI in Oak Brook. Of course he is susceptible and can be held accountable with respect to local laws regarding DUIs and other matters that have nothing to do with his professional responsibilities as a federal law enforcement agent. So understand that distinction. So nobody's above the law, except poets in Minnesota, apparently, according to some. So anyway, even if you could get around charging them with something related to their federal law enforcement duties at the local level, they still have the right to remove to federal court. The case is not going to be prosecuted by Mary Moriarty in Hennepin County, for God's sakes, nor should it be. Back to Mike Lee. The safeguard has since resurfaced in several major crises. During the Civil War, Congress expanded removal protections to shield Union officers from hostile tribunals in the South. I wonder what all of those big talking local officials have to say about that precedent. Protecting Union officers from hostile tribunals in the slave-laden South during the Civil War. In World War II, the High Court reaffirmed that federal contractors could not be obstructed by local lawsuits for producing material for national defense. In 2011, Congress added further protections through an amendment that Mike Lee supported, making clear that those sued for acts relating to federal duties also belong in federal court. The Chevron case I mentioned revisits this problem, and it's in the context of oil companies, but it could have wider application to the left's penchant for lawfare, is my point, writes Mike Lee in explaining the particulars of the case before the court. Several Louisiana parishes sued oil companies in state court, alleging that decades of drilling, dredging, and refining damaged the coastal zone and violated state environmental rules. The companies responded that much of this work was directed by the federal government, including contracts during the World War II to refine petroleum for the war effort. Some of the crude oil it issued was produced to meet those obligations. The quarrel here is about whether local courts may assume power to decide cases that plainly involve federal duties and, in doing so, obstruct the government of the U.S. from carrying out its lawful responsibilities. If they can, each parish or county courthouse becomes a fief, with each local judge free to decide which federal laws may or may not be enforced. That's the point, which is why this decision is so important and has such wide application if the court moves to rein in these rogue state courts. I mean, you just had a federal judge the other day, and this is on every issue, I know, but after somewhere between $9 billion and $19 billion worth of fraud perpetrated in Minnesota, depending on whose estimates you believe, and President Trump moving to suspend payments to states that are indifferent to their benefits programs being frauded. Those benefits programs including Medicaid, which is a combined federal and state. So suspending the portion of funding that comes from the federal government, federal judge says you can't suspend that funding. What are you talking about? It's federal dollars that the federal government has control over distributing. This is the sort of thing that a decision in this case could address. And Mike Lee applies it to the border, writing, consider the border. Federal agencies rely on contractors that provide essential services, including transportation, detention centers, food, and health care. ICE has become the target of protests, violence, and terrorism. Last September, a sniper opened fire on an ICE field office in Dallas from a nearby rooftop. Oh, yeah, we're supposed to forget about that. Killing 2 people, those in ICE custody, who ICE tried to protect. We're supposed to forget about that, too. If endless lawsuits in blue state courts are allowed to slow their work, contractors may give up entirely, leaving communities across America at risk because of local obstruction. Right, as I keep referencing, if you're not going to let ICE and federal contractors supporting the larger effort do it, then who's going to do it? And the real answer is no one, even as they pretend that they're actually interested in removing people convicted of Class X felonies who are in this country illegally. They're not, because they have no backfill for an agency they want to defund or at minimum defang. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro. 312-642-5600, that's our call-in or text line. And Lee, in his piece, goes through religious liberty is implicated potentially in this decision by the high court and so forth. Really important case, the Chevron case that we're going to be watching, and you should be too. Corey in Woodlawn, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Dan. The problem is, how do Americans live their lives? I mean, the Democrats aren't interested in enforcing laws in their cities. This is a joke. I mean, they've allowed the crime to get out of control. A gentleman in Pilsen shot at an FBI agent the other day. Nothing has been done about it. Someone was riding on a CTA dead the other day on the trains. But they come out here and they try to act like they're trying to stop the federal government. The Article 6 says that the federal government is the supreme law of the land. They should allow these agents to do their job unfettered. Thanks.
Thanks for the call, Corey. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, just to Corey's point, to go on a bit of a tangent, but it's certainly a relevant one, riding on the CTA dead. I hope he still is able to vote in the primary coming up in March. The CTA, the surge of law enforcement to CTA under threat of withholding of federal funding until a federal judge mandates that the federal government fund the CTA to their preferred level regardless. I mean, this is in the last couple of days. A man found stabbed to death on CTA train. Man stabbed, badly injured on Red Line. Second CTA stabbing this weekend. Man charged with double shooting that left man dead on the Pink Line train in the Loop. 12 years for pushing chef onto Blue Line tracks, breaking cop's nose. I mean, those are CTA stories in, like I said, in the last few days. How's the surge going? Oh, and by the way, when it comes to enforcement of law, here's another one. And I mean, this is a recurring story. Man with 57 arrests pleads guilty in random loop pipe attack. He's 32 years old. He grabbed a metal pipe, walked behind the victim, who he did not know, and struck him in the back of the head. The victim fell to the ground and began bleeding heavily from the back of his head and suffered additional injuries to his face when he struck the ground. The victim required multiple reconstructive surgeries. His face is permanently disfigured. 57 arrests by the time of his 30th birthday. The resolution of this case? No jail time. Because in life, some people get second chances. In Chicago, some people get 58 or 59. 57 arrests. He disfigures a man he didn't know. No jail time. And I'm sorry, how's it going under Eileen O'Malley, O'Shaughnessy, Madigan, Cullerton, Daly, Burke, and the newly minted Chief Judge, Charles Beach? Lucy in Lowell, Indiana.
Yes, good morning. It's interesting. I think God has his ways. This Chevron case, I see an interesting parallel to that with having the boys and girls sports. You know, are we supposed to allow these few boys that want to ruin, girls sports by not only the taking over with their extra strength and speed, but also emotionally damaging them by forcing them to undress in front of a boy when, they're not even married yet. I'm sorry. It just, are we going to allow these few? And you can expand that to a lot of subjects here. We're letting the few have precedence over what is the good of many, and the laws of common sense. Good heavens!
Thanks for the call, Lucy. Well, I'll tell you, the problem in the girls' sports case is Neil Gorsuch and his argument in a 2020 case, the Bostock versus Clayton County case, where he wrote, "It's impossible to discriminate against a person for being homosexual or transgender without discriminating against that individual based on sex." So, this is the problem when you start creating all sorts of protected classes by identity, as opposed to the rule of law that is colorblind and sex neutral. So Gorsuch is in the spotlight here. I mean, that's a different case than the Chevron case because you're talking about the lines of demarcation between federal and state power. But I take your point, Lucy. It's a salient one. Tom in Oswego.
Hey, good morning, Dan. I have a difficult time even talking with people that I know on the other side. So much of the conversation has become pure emotion and political. That's it.
Yes. Well, that's
once you start injecting logic or common sense into the argument, they just go off on a different tangent. So I think it's becoming very difficult to even have conversations. And I have 3 children, Dan. They're in their 30s. I can hear the despair in their voices when I talk with them. They're very smart kids. They're very aware of what's going on. And it's almost as if knowledge is a curse nowadays. That the more you know and about common sense, the harder it is just to get by day to day, because you're ticked and literally brought down emotionally every morning. As soon as I love listening to you, Dan, and I will every morning. But to hear some of the comments on callers, it's very disappointing. And some of the other radio stations I listen to, it's really getting difficult. I'm 65, so fortunately, I don't have a long life to live and deal with this stuff. But our kids are really struggling with this. The good ones, the ones that know the difference, they're getting dragged down by this crap.
Well, thanks for the call, Tom. I got some good news on that front. Try to look for green shoots. Here's one. A report out of the UK, 49% of young people in the UK say they believe in a higher power. That's up from 28% just 7 years ago. The YouGov poll found that Gen Z is now the most religious generation in the UK. In an interview, there's some clips here, why that is, young people speaking their minds in terms of why they turn to God or a higher power. For example, one woman said, with more churches and more people who are led by God who are showing that through social media, I think you touch so many more people than you think, but I always feel like there might be a little bit of divine intervention sometimes. So for all the decrying of social media and the radicalization that we spend a lot of time talking about online, various pernicious ideologies, you also have some people using social media to, preach the good word and cobble together their own mission field that is moving hearts and minds in the direction of Christ, or, as I said, a higher power at minimum, something bigger than themselves, which is a start. So, before we join the censorious left, as I never will, remember that these communication portals in the digital age are just portals. They're just channels. You can put good stuff through them, or you can put poison through them. And, free society has to reconcile itself with that and decide to overwhelm the poison with the good. George in Naperville.
Yes, and these sanctuary cities only enforce what they endorse, and that's the way they go with it.
It's a good way to put it. That should be on a refrigerator magnet. They only enforce what they endorse. Yeah. Very succinct, George. Well done. Glenn, Orlando.
Yeah, hey, Dan. So in the past, we always had to worry about the ignorance of the undereducated or uneducated. But today we have to worry about the ignorance of people with college degrees.
Yes, learned ignorance, like learned helplessness, the learned helplessness that Arthur Brooks, who's an optimist by orientation, often talks about. Earned success versus learned helplessness. Learned helplessness is a fancy way to say, victimology. Everybody racing to be a victim because it's, there's good pay and benefits if you play the game right. But learned success versus earned success versus learned helplessness, that is a binary that is happening. That's part of a cultural phenomenon that's not positive, obviously, on the learned helplessness side. And the learned ignorance, right. I had to go to college to get this stupid. Perfect segue to our conversation, 636, and our latest installment of Campus Beat. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 38 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. The body of a missing Chicago school teacher has been found. The Chicago Police Department is confirming its Marine unit recovered the body of Linda Brown from the water in the 3100 block of Lakeshore Drive just before noon yesterday. Officials say her body was discovered near the area she was last seen on video. Brown had been employed as a special education teacher at Robert Healy Elementary School. Officials say they're working closely with the Chicago Public Schools Crisis Management Unit to provide grief counseling and support to students and staff. The LaGrange trustees have approved plans to build condo units where the Jackson Square Mall currently sits. The plans for the 5-story building received mixed reaction, specifically since the plans call for tearing down the 120-year-old Art Deco building. And a Rush Hospital employee is recovering after being struck by bullets 7 times while on her way to work yesterday morning. The 23-year-old female victim is in stable condition. This report is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A Check of the Roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Alex Marlow explains his mission.
We're not going to play games here. We're not just going to court clicks. We're not just going to court shares. I'm going to give you the news. The news is what you're going to get in this show, and a deep analysis from great guests. What I'm trying to do here is try to save the country as best I can for my 4 children. I'm doing this for them. I'm doing this because I believe in America.
The Alex Marlow Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Scott Jennings at noon on AM 560. The Answer.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the Retirement Tax Bill Calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim. My friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Tim, for more than 25 years, you've been helping clients achieve financial security and peace of mind. Can you give our listeners some examples of how you've helped clients over the years?
A couple of your listeners called in. They're a married couple. They're in their 60s. They were really concerned and tired of trying to manage their own investments. So their accounts were quite big, but they felt like they needed a little help with it so they didn't screw up at this stage of the game. So they couldn't afford to lose any money in the market moving forward, and trying to manage retirement on a fixed income was kind of a daunting task for them. So with about $1.5 million in 401k savings and other stocks and bonds, we rearranged their portfolios so that they had guaranteed future income, less volatility in the market, and of course tax savings. So now they have this peace of mind because they know that they have a protect and grow blueprint.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns, TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free Protect and Grow blueprint. Call 1-800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tell him I sent you when you call Tim at 800-640-2256.
Is cremation an option you're considering for you or your loved one? At Catholic Cemeteries, we offer sacred, permanent places of rest where loved ones can be remembered, prayed for, and visited for generations. Too often, cremated remains are brought home, only to end up in closets, basements, or forgotten on shelves. Memorialization is forever. Honor their life. Preserve your legacy. Visit us today at CatholicCemeteryChicago.org to schedule a free consultation or call 708-236-5490.
Well, that was a surprise. The HVAC tech just said our furnace apparently has a cracked heat exchanger, and it'll cost thousands.
Oh, you're kidding. He barely looked at it. Now he's pushing a huge repair? What should we do?
I don't really trust them. We need a second opinion. My brother Mark recommended Air Right Heating and Cooling. I looked them up, and they seem legit. Great Google reviews. I'm sure they'd give us an honest assessment. He liked that they checked their carbon monoxide readings so he knows the air they're breathing is safe. And I guess it also gave a sense of how much life was left in their furnace.
I'd love that peace of mind. Plus, why spend a fortune on something we might not even need?
Get a second opinion from Air Right Heating and Cooling. Tell them AM 560 sent you and get $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling right now at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling. Doing it right since 1959.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. In great shape on the Eden, just 15 minutes both ways from Lake Hook to Montrose, and the Kennedy, no delays at all in both directions from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, and just 14 minutes both ways on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office. The Stevenson from Tri-State to Lakeshore is 19 minutes, outbound is 15, and the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange is 15 minutes, outbound is 11. A little bit sluggish on the inbound express lanes between 43rd Street and 31st Street, and the Bishop Ford inbound slows down between 111th Street and the Dan Ryan. This report is a service of Allstate. Some people just know you can save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy with breezy conditions in the afternoon, reaching a high of 51. Tonight, expect mostly cloudy skies with a chance of a shower in some areas early in the evening, followed by a late snow shower. The low temperature will drop to 24. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Cause they got the beat, the campus beat, the campus beat. Yeah, the campus beat.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I want to revisit Brown University after that terrible shooting that occurred last month. 10 shot, 2 murdered. Before we do, though, just you want to talk about a commentary on what's happening in the West? UAE cuts funds for citizens keen to study in the UK over Muslim Brotherhood tensions. The United Arab Emirates fears Islamist radicalization. And so it is cutting fund for its citizens to study abroad at British universities. A Muslim country is worried about Islamist radicalization in the UK. Let that sink in. Brown University. Brown, in the wake of that shooting last month that I mentioned, and the incredible job that the president of Brown, Christina Paxson, did, along with the Providence mayor and that police chief of Providence, Rhode Island, that doesn't speak of the English particularly well, and that glory-seeking state attorney general in Rhode Island. What a crew that was. Are they getting more cameras so that they don't have a blind spot at, for example, the physics building where this shooting occurred? No. At least there's no report of that. There's a report of this. They're tapping a identitarian DEI official. Oh, they still have those. But wait. Trump passed an executive order. But wait. Trump went to war with the Ivies. They're tabbing a DEI apparatchik at the college, Matthew Gutterall, the vice president of Brown's Office of Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity. Hey, where's the belonging? He's also a professor of Africana Studies. He's leading the effort to bring a campus-wide healing and recovery initiative to fruition to reestablish a sense of physical security on campus. The initiative, dubbed Brown Ever True, expands psychological services. I hope those include to Matthew Gutterall or Christina Paxson. Anyway, expands psychological services and provides, quote, meaningful opportunities, unquote, for students to provide feedback about security infrastructure. We want to make sure everybody is heard. I speak for everybody. Just get cameras at the buildings you don't have cameras, for starters. Anyway, and maybe get a head of campus security that doesn't have the checkered past of the current campus police chief, right? We had an issue with that guy too, I recall. As I said, quite the team. Kakistocratic, the Ivy Leagues. The Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Matthew Gutterall, his Office of Diversity and Inclusion, will also organize educational sessions held for staff and faculty. Wonderful. Gutterall is allegedly known, this according to his bio, for his extensive experience in the history of race relations, civil rights and human rights, and empire. That's, I'm guessing that is a newspeak word for colonialism. And of course, when they talk about empire, they talk about colonialism and neocolonialism and the way that it's taught on campus. It's taught about like this. And this is probably a Brown University graduate, or certainly an Ivy League graduate. I don't know. I haven't seen her identified, but this is a good example of what the Ivies are producing. This chick was in Minnesota to protest not exactly ICE, not exactly the killing of Renee Good. She's got a bigger fight. Dakota Makoche. She and her people have been fighting the U.S. for 500 years, and she's not stopping now. Maybe Matthew, what's his name? Matthew Gutterall will bring Miss Dakota Makoche to campus for one of those educational sessions held for staff and faculty, as well as one of those student meaningful opportunity for feedback about security infrastructure sessions.
Why did you want to be here tonight?
To tell everyone, including the state of Minnesota and the United States, that this is Indian land. This is Dakota Makoche. That's what my sign says, De Dakota Makoche, which means this is Dakota land.
And I don't think it takes a genius to figure out why that would be relevant to a protest about immigration and everything that's happening in this country right now. But spell it out for me. Why was it important for you to come out here and deliver this message, that this is Dakota land?
Because the United States has come over here and they forcibly waged war on indigenous people since 1492. And so we've been out here for the past 500 plus years fighting the United States. On my other side, I wrote Custer Killers. 6/25/1876. The United Tribes of the Northern Cheyenne, the Oglala Lakota, and the Northern Arapaho defeated the United States in battle at the Battle of Greasy Grass. It was Cheyenne women that drove awls into Custer's ears because he refused to listen. He refused to respect indigenous people. So we come as a warning to all politicians, to all representatives of the United States. What happens when you don't listen to indigenous women, to Cheyenne women? We will drive awls into your ears until you listen. From beyond the grave into the spirit world. Listen to what we're saying. De Dakota Makoche, this is always will be Dakota land. The state of Minnesota came onto indigenous land and provoked itself and waged war against us. We see it happen with the Line 3 pipeline. We see it happen now with the separation of families. This is a continuation of the genocide of indigenous people. That this is a direct correlation of what the United States is and has always represented.
You know, she's got Custer in the same way that I guess Brandon Johnson has Nixon. Finally, Custer's getting his what for. So beware the Cheyenne women, or they'll inflict awls upon your ears. 500 years of fighting. How's it going, honey? Anyway, so just just thinking about her when I saw that this DEI apparatchik at Brown is an expert in Race Relations, Civil and Human Rights, and Empire. He published a 2023 memoir. Oh, Matthew Gutterall's memoir. I bet that's a page-turner. It was entitled Skinfolk. It was about growing up in a multiracial adoptive household. He's presently working on a global biography of the queer cosmopolitan human rights activist Roger Casement. And he also continues to be interested in writing about the Neverland Ranch. Okay. When Gutterall took his role as the Office of Diversity and Inclusion's vice president, hey, they don't just throw those titles around. This is back in March. He told the local campus newspaper there he would shape DEI through fearlessness, imagination, and the support of the entire campus community. And he stressed the importance of Brown's, quote, ongoing commitment to diversity and inclusion in response to President Trump's executive orders targeting racially discriminatory policies in higher education, which, of course, he is a fan of. By the way, Brown, if you think these Ivies are chastened by the Trump administration as opposed to just paying to provide separation and bide their time to go back to being out and proud about what they do in advance of identitarian politics and subversive to higher education, in contravention of academic freedom and serious inquiry, critical thought. Washington Free Beacon report found that Brown University's medical school gave diversity, equity, and inclusion more weight than clinical skills in its promotion criteria for faculty. Oh, and as a footnote, the interim head of public safety at Brown also said, yeah, and we're going to install school cameras and panic buttons to while broadening public safety to incorporate rapid and effective communications during emergencies. But, I mean, the top line, the headline here is using this as an opportunity to advance again DEI as the dominant culture on campus. And woe anyone who would push back against that. Mm-hmm. The United Arab Emirates may be cutting funding for its citizens to get scholarships to come over and study at American universities, or certainly the Ivy League, in the not-too-distant future, I suspect.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Dan Proft here to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season. I'm talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food and water for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean. Your business can be a part of this effort. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. That donation will help more than 30 children for an entire year. And when you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. Monday through Friday at no additional cost to you. To take advantage of this deal, just call John Gallagher at 847-472-8950. Again, that's 847-472-8950. One more time, the number, 847-472-8950. Or go to 560theanswer.com/food for the poor. That website again, 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
Mike Lindell has a passion to help people get the best sleep of their life. He started by creating the best pillow ever, and right now he is passing the best prices to you when you use promo code LIBERTY. They want to thank you for your continued support by passing on some Christmas specials to our listeners. Get wholesale pricing on the classic My Pillows for $17.98. Transform any mattress with a My Mattress topper and save up to $100. Get a set of Giza sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack towel set for only $39.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Rest easy remembering that MyPillow products come with a 10-year warranty. Call today, 800-489-0201, promo code LIBERTY.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433. 800-965-1433.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank, a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hey all, Jim Carr here. I am the owner of Carr Machine and Tool in Elk Grove Village and loyal customer of Signature Bank. As a second-generation owner, I knew I had to shift from operating as an old-school machine shop to what I can proudly say is now one of the fastest-growing aerospace manufacturing facilities in the region. Signature Bank was there every step of the way through our expansion efforts, including financing our new state-of-the-art facility. Their valuable industry expertise and constant communication throughout the construction process made our vision possible. Many thanks to Signature Bank for supporting Carr Machine and Tool. You set the bar high for other banks.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Want to learn how Signature Bank can help turn your business vision into reality? Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
We've all heard the news. The flu virus has mutated again, and the vaccine just isn't as effective as they hoped. It leaves you wondering, how do you stay safe? But you have a powerful, God-given immune system. But with all these viruses coming out right now, it needs a serious boost. I'm Dr. Michael Huber, introducing Virago. We have put together a powerhouse formula containing quercetin, fistin, resveratrol, and lactoferrin. We combine these specific nutraceuticals with 19 other nutrients because of their synergistic effect. They work together to supercharge your immune system, creating a defense that is stronger than any single ingredient alone. This is the boost your body needs to fight back. So take Virago and boost your immune system. Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail.
Order your bottle of Virago. Visit myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. myvirago.com. Coupon code IMMUNE. Virago and Maha. Making America healthy again.
AM 560. The Answer.
You know what that sound means. It's time for In-Depth History with Frank, the history teacher from Arlington Heights. Because there's nothing new in this world, just the history you don't know, and Frank does. Frank, take it away.
Good morning. Sweet Home Alabama, so the song by Lynyrd Skynyrd goes, as they heard Mr. Young sing about her, and they heard old Neil put her down. There was indeed much in Young's song that was critical of Jim Crow Alabama, but the line from Young that went, "Swing Low Alabama," inspired Lynyrd's song title, but Young was largely right. In Birmingham, they love the governor. Boo, boo, boo. Now, we all did what we could do. Now, that line, of course, is about George Wallace, but voter suppression had a long history in the state. In 1894, one of Alabama's highest ever elected officials, Oscar Underwood, was elected to the House by a narrow margin, but there were only 13,000 people who voted in his district, which was about 22% of the electorate. Such a number suggests both racial and class oppression, mostly done through a poll tax. In fact, the Alabama poll tax law specified that you had to pay up all of your back poll taxes, too, in order to vote. So one miss could snowball into never voting again. And don't expect help from a friend, as it was even made into a felony to pay someone else's poll taxes. So Watergate does not bother me. Does your conscience bother you? Tell me true. Well, here's some truth. In 1901, Alabama passed a new state constitution that was designed to purify the ballot box by ensuring certain groups couldn't vote, eventually reaching 543 pages long. Yes, you heard that right. This constitution centralized all power in Montgomery, cutting off any sort of local home rule. Although unconstitutional, this horrible document wasn't replaced until 2022. Now, Muscle Shoals has got the Swampers, and they've been known to pick a song or two. Yes, they do! Perhaps only in a crucible like 1960s Alabama could a group of new young musicians set the stage for Aretha Franklin, Paul Simon, the Rolling Stones, and many more. It took a long, long time to clean up the mess of a Democratic-run Alabama. Let's hope Illinois can avoid that fate in November.
Very good, Frank. Now, look, I appreciate the enthusiasm.
The singing?
But,
wasn't
but
that good?
I mean, you are a noted impersonator. I mean, nobody does a better Kirk Dillard, for example, than you do. But I don't think you're going to be fronting a Leonard Skinner tribute band anytime soon. I don't know how to break it to you. Well, I guess I just did.
Well, I did once serve as Jim Edgar's chief of staff.
See? Now you're in your sweet spot. You know?
That's true.
I mean,
well, actually, we talked about Fort McHenry the other day, and I was singing. I was doing my Wayne Messmer imitation for the kids, and I'm getting pretty damn good at it.
Let's
so
hear.
I sang the whole Star Spangled Banner. I don't know if we have time.
Well, give us a few bars.
Well, the end. He has the best ending.
All right.
And he goes, "And the land of the free, and the home of the brave." I mean, that is a true ending to the Star Spangled Banner. Guys today, they say free for like 20 seconds, and it sounds ridiculous. But Wayne Messmer, he's the best. He truly is.
Yeah, Messmer's good. Although, I mean, Jim Corneliuson's great too.
I don't know who that is.
He does the Hawks games.
He does the Hawks games now.
Mainly.
Okay.
I think he still does. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been to United Center in a long time.
And when he does the point to the waving flag in the rafters, pretty cool. All right, Frank, thank you. Wonderful as always, despite the Leonard Skinner impersonation. We appreciate it. Coming up at 7 o'clock, how Minnesota failed as a state. It is now 7 o'clock. 7:07. It is now 7 o'clock. AM 560 WIND.
What will President Trump do next with Iran? I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. More Iranians have been killed in the crackdown on days of protests. A U.S.-based human rights group puts the number of deaths at nearly 650. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt tells Fox.
Diplomacy is the first option, always has been, always will be. However, he is unafraid to use the lethal force and might of the United States military.
Fox's Madeline Rivera is at the White House.
Senior officials are reportedly expected to brief the president on other options, including cyber attacks and sanctions. For now, the president is using one of his favorite foreign policy tools, and those are tariffs, to ramp up pressure on Iran. The president writing on Truth Social, effective immediately, any country doing business with the Islamic Republic of Iran will pay a tariff of 25% on any and all business being done with the United States of America.
The president also posted about tariffs on Truth Social, writing, "We're screwed if the Supreme Court rules he exceeded his authority imposing the tariffs on imports from around the world." In a few hours, the justices consider another controversial case.
Well, the question before the court is whether states have the right to keep women's sports limited to women.
Kristen Wagner is CEO of the Alliance Defending Freedom, co-counsel to Idaho and West Virginia, which are challenging lower court rulings against their transgender sports laws.
Trans-identified student athletes feel they were unfairly banned from the sport that aligns with their gender identity. And Idaho and West Virginia are among nearly 30 states with laws that stop biological men from taking part in girls' sports in public school and colleges.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff outside the Supreme Court. The anti-ICE protests rage on in Minneapolis, clashing with federal agents after last week's deadly shooting. And now Minnesota is suing the Trump administration to stop what Democrats call an ICE invasion, wanting courts to stop the immigration enforcement. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons tells Fox,
"We only are increasing our numbers because ICE agents are getting attacked due to the lax policies that Minnesota has."
America's listening to Fox.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It is 38 degrees in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A Chicago man is facing charges after he allegedly murdered his ex-wife and her husband. Fox's Brian Yennis has the details.
Michael McKee making his first court appearance at the Winnebago County Criminal Justice Center in Rockford, Illinois. The 39-year-old vascular surgeon now faces 2 aggravated murder with premeditation charges in addition to 2 murder charges. It'll now be up to prosecutors to decide which to pursue. Now, McKee's accused of killing his ex-wife and her dentist husband in the middle of the night at their home on December 30th in Columbus, Ohio.
The slain couple's 2 children were inside the home during the attack, but they were unharmed. The Harvey City Council met last night without its mayor. The meeting was the first one for the city in 3 months. The city of Harvey has found itself in severe financial crisis and has had to lay off large portions of fire and police staff as it navigates about $150 million in debt. Residents at last night's meeting expressed frustration, while the city's mayor pro tem says officials are working to make things better. And the body of a missing Chicago school teacher has been found. The Chicago Police Department is confirming its Marine unit recovered the body of Linda Brown from the water in the 3100 block of Lakeshore Drive just before noon yesterday. Officials say her body was discovered near the area she was last seen on video. Brown had been employed as a special ed teacher at Robert Healy Elementary School. School officials released a statement saying that they are working closely with Chicago Public Schools Crisis Management Unit to provide grief counseling and support to students and staff members. This report is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Scott Jennings isn't impressed with the United Nations.
As well as thanking China and Russia for their support for holding of this meeting.
Okay, so Somalia is running a meeting. Colombia is thanking Russia and China for their support. This is the United Nations Security Council. You couldn't make this up. You couldn't make one of those Mad Libs this crazy if you tried.
The Scott Jennings Show. Weekdays at noon, right before Hugh Hewitt at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hello?
Sir, this is Officer Peterson. There's been a string of break-ins in the area, and your office, it was hit.
Hit? What do you mean? We were robbed?
Looks like the back door lock was easily pried open, and they moved through the building like they knew exactly what to take. We see wires everywhere. No computers.
What? No computers? I just upgraded everything.
Looks like they moved fast. We only found out because a neighboring business had their alarm go off. Do you have any security cameras?
No, nothing.
Don't wait until it's too late. Goldilocks protects Chicagoland businesses with custom security solutions. From reinforced commercial doors with keyless entry to cameras and 24/7 monitoring that alerts authorities immediately. Schedule a free on-site assessment at GoldilocksInc.com. Again, that's GoldilocksInc.com. Plus, AM 560 listeners get their first 3 months of monitoring free with a new install. Call 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Goldilocks, Chicago's premier locksmith, doors, and security systems company since 1981.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-393-1881. That's 800-393-1881. 800-393-1881.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results, done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com. And schedule your free in-home consultation today.
When you can no longer handle your own home, Hearthstone Assisted Living at the Lutheran Home in Arlington Heights is here to help make life easier. Experience upscale living with comprehensive health services. We offer fine dining, engaging activities, available chaplains, weekly worship services, and quality amenities including a bistro, expansive library, and general store. For a limited time, mention WYLL for an additional discount. Call 847-595-5024 or visit LutheranLifeCommunities.org.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Looks like we got a stall slowing you down in the express lanes on the Dan Ryan inbound at 47th Street, but the delays will continue into 31st Street. And on the main roadway, it's 21 minutes from 95th to the Byrne Interchange. Outbound is 11. Very slow in the Bishop Ford inbound between 115th Street and the Dan Ryan, and starting to get slow northbound on Lakeshore Drive as you head into Hollywood Avenue. It's 29 minutes inbound on the Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore. Outbound is 16, 15 minutes both ways on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose. Not too bad on the Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 10 minutes, outbound is 9. And the Eisenhower inbound from Wolf to the Old Post Office is 22 minutes, outbound is 19. This report is a service of the AM 560 store. Order t-shirts, hoodies, and more from your favorite AM 560 brands, including Profit University and The Sean Thompson Show, when you go to 560theanswer.com/store. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy with breezy conditions in the afternoon, reaching a high of 51. Tonight, expect mostly cloudy skies with a chance of a shower in some areas early in the evening, followed by a late snow shower. The low temperature will drop to 24. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So, as we discussed a bit earlier, yesterday, as expected, the assembled power structure of the neo-Marxist party that controls the state of Minnesota and the city formerly known as Minneapolis held a presser to announce that they have filed suit against the federal government to enjoin ICE agents, federal law enforcement officers, from enforcing federal immigration law. Jelly Belly here, along with Kwame Raoul, Brandon Johnson, did something approximating what Minnesota did as well, filing suit, claiming illegal actions taken by federal immigration officers. Federal immigration officers deployed to Minnesota to enforce federal immigration law constitutes an invasion, according to Pajamas Boy Jacob Fry.
What people are dealing with, man.
Yeah. I mean, we don't use the word invasion lightly. What we are seeing is thousands, plural, thousands of federal agents coming into our city. And yeah, they're having a tremendous impact on day-to-day life. And it's a negative one. And whether that's kids that are trying to get to school or businesses that are trying to open, that's police officers that are responding to 911 calls. It's just about being able to conduct daily life right here in our city. And look, this is not about fraud. When you have a fraudster, you investigate, you charge, you prosecute, you hold the person accountable, and then they get put in jail. As an individual, they get put in jail.
We'll get to the fraud thing in just a second there, Pajamas Boy. But when it comes to the impact on daily life, not that anybody from the Minnesota Political Press Corps would press the issue, but just a sampling of the individuals that ICE has apprehended per their 2,000 agent surge in Minnesota, which is now seeing reinforcements en route. Bill Malugin reporting for Fox, as we brought you yesterday. Just an example. There's about, dozen and a half examples. A Laotian illegal alien convicted of strong-arm sodomy of a boy and strong-arm sodomy of a girl with a deportation order that's 7 years old since 2018. Another Laotian illegal convicted of strong-arm rape, aggravated assault with a weapon, and strangulation with a deportation order since 2012. Another Laotian illegal convicted of rape with a weapon, and sexual assault with a deportation order that's, almost 30 years old, since 1996, because, we've been real serious about enforcing federal immigration law. A Mexican illegal alien convicted of sexual assault of a child and DUI with a deportation order since 2016. A Somalian illegal alien convicted of homicide. A Salvadorian illegal alien convicted of 3 counts of homicide with a deportation order since June of last year. A Mexican illegal convicted of homicide, previously deported in 2002. A Sudanese illegal convicted of homicide. I can go on. How do removing those people improve or not improve public safety? How does that impact daily life, Mayor? That didn't get asked. Right. And if federal law enforcement doesn't do that, remove these people that you do want removed or you don't, I don't know. Walls? Fry? Anybody? You want them here or there in Minneapolis, or you don't? What was formerly known as Minneapolis? Do you want them there or not? If you don't want them there and federal immigration law officers aren't going to do it, who is? You? I mean, I don't mean to go full Colonel Jessup here, but you, Fry? You, Walls? Who's going to do it? And as to the fraud piece, because Fry made the rounds on the Sunday talkies, and he was asked about that on Meet the Press, he pretends to take the fraudsters seriously just the way he pretends to take people in this country illegally who pose public safety threats or national security threats seriously, and he takes neither seriously.
Let me ask you about the leadership in your state. Dozens of people in Minnesota have been charged and convicted with stealing millions of dollars of taxpayer money for government programs. Do you think Governor Walz did enough to stop the fraud in your state? And do you support his decision not to run for re-election?
Well, look, Governor Walz is the reason that we've got paid family leave in Minnesota. He's the reason we've got free school lunches. Him and we've been through thick and thin.
But did he do enough to combat fraud,
over these
Mayor?
last 5
Did he
years.
do enough to combat fraud?
Look, obviously everybody could have done more to prevent fraud, and I think that's a fair point to make. Do more to prevent fraud, and you look what he's doing right now. He's setting up a whole bunch of infrastructure to do that. And by the way,
what he's doing right now, you just said, is establishing new and exciting benefits programs for people to fraud. That's what I just heard. Just like is happening in New York. We talked about yesterday. Mamdani and Hochul there, $4.5 billion more for home-based daycare centers. Oh, gee. They'll be about as serious with respect to fraudsters as Fry and Walz are in Minnesota, I suspect. And happening all over the country, as we've heard. The layers and layers of this. And, it's funny because Fry and Pritzker and Brandon Johnson making local control arguments. Okay, local control. So then can we in Illinois or people in more sane states, civilized states, can they sue Minnesota to recoup the monies they sent to Washington, D.C. that were distributed through Medicaid to Minnesota and frauded by the lack of interest in oversight? 10 years of reporting, as we've discussed, local affiliates, YouTubers, everyone in between, News Nation in the last couple of weeks. All of this documenting the fraud and no action taken until, 2 days ago in this generic infrastructure that's supposedly being set up. Local control, we want our local dollars back from the Minnesota authorities who allowed our money to be frauded. How's that sound, Jake? Timmy? For more on the topic, we're pleased to be joined by Bill Glahn. He is a policy fellow with our friends at the Center of the American Experiment. He's a contributor to Powerline Blog, powerlineblog.com. Bill, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
The response, let's start with the response that Jacob Frey gave in terms of fraud, that the serious steps they're taking, many people have been indicted and more will be as is appropriate. And let's focus instead on the new and exciting benefits that have been incurred, family leave and free school lunches. By the way, the school lunch program is also a federal program, at least in part, free or reduced school lunch programs. That's backed by the feds. So what is the state of play there under Tim and Jake?
Yeah, well, the dozens of people who have been convicted, that was all done by the U.S. Department of Justice, the local U.S. attorney. In some fairness, the local U.S. attorney under Biden and now under Trump has been pursuing these cases and getting these convictions. The state isn't doing anything. When Jacob Frey speaks of the infrastructure being put in place by Governor Walz to fight fraud, infrastructure is just a code word for hiring more bureaucrats.
Yeah.
So they're putting more people on the payroll. There's not a shortage of people on the Minnesota state government payroll. It's not too few people. It's too few people or anybody really willing to go after the fraud. They look the other way for the last pick a time period, 5, 6, 7, 10, 15 years. And now, belatedly, when this is threatening re-elections in 2026, they decided something must be done, or the appearance of something that must be done. So, yeah, you're exactly right. I listened to your intro, and they have never taken the fraud seriously. Now they just want to be seen as doing stuff. This invasion that they're talking about, I read the lawsuit that Mayor Frey signed on to, and you characterize it. It's suing the federal government for enforcing federal law. And I'm not a lawyer, but the 80-page lawsuit has almost no law in it. It's not saying, hey, they violated this, they violated that, and therefore this. It's just a long list of stuff that the feds have been doing that they don't like. So they talk about the 10th Amendment. You know, this isn't the Confederates in the Civil War. It's bizarre. They use that word invasion because, in my viewpoint, the feds are coming in as liberators, not conquerors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and federal jurisdiction over the enforcement of federal law. This is not a complicated concept. I mean, it's sort of center cut federalism here. Jacob Frey, they probably understand this, but they have to service all the feelings of the Chardonnay Antifa mobs that are on the streets of what was formerly known as Minneapolis now, I suppose.
Yeah, you mentioned neo-Marxist. This really has the hallmarks more of late-stage Soviet collapse than anything new under the sun. It's just amazing. Test scores are down and falling for students. GDP is not keeping up with the rest of the nation. Minnesota went from one of the highest per GDP economies in the country to below average now. And people are fleeing. We have net outmigration from Minnesota. I know Illinois has the same issue, but This is a new thing for Minnesota.
Yeah. And so you referenced this interesting piece by a Data Republican in a post that you made over at Powerline Blog. We talked a bit about yesterday, and the term that she uses, sort of the self-generating term from biology, is use whatever term you want, closed system, autopoiesis. The point is that what you have in Minnesota and what you have in Illinois is a power structure that uses other people's money to fund political stability, regardless of market feedback, regardless of the catastrophic results being visited upon so many of their residents, because, frankly, they have enough people who have bought into the idea of cheating the government before it cheats you, that they get away with it until they don't. And the interesting thing is that Tim Walz ultimately concluded, or the DFL Brain Trust ultimately concluded, that Tim Walz couldn't get away with it anymore. And I wonder if that is a hopeful note for you and for outsiders looking in at Minnesota.
Well, we'll see. It could be a hopeful note depending on the results. But you mentioned that piece by Data Republican talking about how the system, the Democrats, their nonprofits, these activist groups that are on the street aren't taking in new information and making course corrections. Having Walz not run for re-election was a internal course correction for them.
Yeah.
But will it turn into an external? Will they actually reduce the fraud? But yeah, you're right. They could keep the whole house of cards afloat, or aloft, if you will, because of all the federal money. And the feds decided we're not going to fund fraud anymore. And now what you see with the mayor and what you see with the governor is just sheer panic, because the only way they kept this thing afloat was federal dollars. The federal dollars aren't going to be restored until the fraud ends, and the fraud was keeping the thing going.
Yeah, and I mentioned something else you wrote about yesterday, but just to show you how, to demonstrate the incorrigible nature of this, that this is all about system equilibrium for those in charge. So against the backdrop of all this being exposed, Joni Ernst was on with Stuart Varney pointing to an earmark that she found of Ilhan Omar's for $1 million for another fraudulent business that was that exists in Minnesota. So, I mean, they will not stop, because it is not about rooting out fraud. It is not about judicious deployment of tax dollars to provide benefits to residents. It is strictly about money as the means to preservation of political power.
Exactly. It won't stop until they are stopped, until they're voted out of office or removed from office or forced not to run for re-election. So I think the idea is in Minnesota, they're going to try to bring in some fresh faces, or in the case of Amy Klobuchar, somebody they think is a safe pair of hands, who's got a high approval rating, who doesn't have an obvious connection to the frauds. Although you mentioned that earmark, the Ilhan Omar, the senators from Minnesota, Klobuchar and Smith, both signed off on that earmark. So their hands aren't completely clean.
Of course. But the layers of this, too, we've spent a lot of time talking about it. You've been reporting on this, and Powerline contributors have for a decade plus, probably. It's just every time you turn around, there's like a new layer to this. And I saw Nick Shirley, cause celeb here at present, with his shaman on this, whistleblower David Hoke, talking about one other aspect of this. In addition to the daycare centers, in addition to the assisted living facilities, in addition to the medical transport, you also have translators. That Somali translators are being paid $100 an hour to act as translators between Somali residents of Minneapolis, the greater Minneapolis area, and doctors, for example. And so then the Somali translator gets paid by the city, state, federal government, the amalgam of the money. And then you turn that person over to the medical transporter, and then you turn them over to this. And so it's just one thing after another. It just piles up.
Well, it's an integrated thing. It's a very diversified portfolio for these fraudsters. Warren Buffett would be proud of that aspect of it. But there was actually an investigation that took place 5-10 years ago in Minnesota called Pit Stop. And the idea was to stop PIT, provider, interpreter, transporter. So it's this integrated fraud where you would, as you described, you would have a transportation company, a van would come pick somebody up, transport them the maximum number of miles allowed under the reimbursement law. When they got to their medical appointment, the provider was in on the scam, and they would have to have a translator to translate between the immigrant patient and the medical provider. So it was holistic fraud.
And that resulted in what in terms of enforcement?
There were a few people. Again, a handful of people were prosecuted. The money never gets recovered, but a few people went to jail. But again, what we're seeing at the feds is finally we're trying to get at all of it, not just a little bit here, a little bit there. We're trying to wipe out fraud, not just chip away at the edges.
Yeah, Bishop Robert Barron, who I didn't know his home state was Minnesota, but of course he has a presence. He did have a presence in Chicagoland before he took off for California, to be elevated to bishop. He wrote this about the fraud in Minnesota. As we wrestle in my home state of Minnesota with the fact of deep corruption in the political and economic orders, I want to draw attention to the social justice dimension of the problem. And I love that he uses that phrase, sort of jujitsuing the left. He writes, Catholic social teaching has a good deal to say about official corruption, insisting that it undermines confidence in our leaders, compromises the integrity of our institutions of government, and subverts the rule of law. But even more importantly, it deeply harms the poor, stealing resources from them, increasing inequality, blocking essential services such as health and education. And if the widespread fraud in Minnesota is also present in a number of other states, we are dealing with a massive violation of human rights and a heinous attack upon the poor and the needy. This should not be a matter of partisan politics. It should be fought and those responsible for it brought to justice. But I like that aspect of it, and I hope, because there are some Republicans ambulating about in Minnesota, that they're making that exact point, is that you're frauding the taxpayers generally, but you're also frauding their good intentions to send their tax money to the state and local governments for the purposes of helping people that they think state and local governments are helping, but they can't because the money's being frauded.
Well, he makes a good point, and Republicans in Minnesota are making that point. But also, interestingly enough, people on the left in Minnesota are making that exact same point. They want these programs to work. They want these programs to help the people intended. Unfortunately, the corruption in Minnesota is so great that these programs, and the mayor mentioned this paid family leave, the newest fraud, are being twisted to keep the people in power in power. So they've been repurposed, weaponized, the phrase of the day, weaponized against the state to keep the people in power, but not helping the people all those billions we're supposed to help.
So what is the state of public opinion with respect to ICE's presence there against the backdrop of the killing of Renee Good? Do we have a situation where people are getting a distorted understanding of what the reality is in Minnesota in terms of popular opinion about federal law enforcement because of the nature of how things are reported and the hysterics of the Alinskyite professional protesters and so forth? Or is it really that decided against ICE such that there are political points to score and Republicans are running scared?
Right. Well, it's a lot of nuance in there, but the short answer is the people in charge, Mayor Frey, the governor, Keith Ellison, the attorney general, think Donald Trump is the enemy because he's got popularity levels in line where theirs are. They're fairly unpopular. He's unpopular. They think they can get ahead by attacking Trump. But the people aren't really getting the full story about what happened in the incident last week with ICE. They're not getting the full story about why ICE is there and what ICE is up to. You were giving them more information than they've been getting by reciting that Bill Melugin reporting on all of the bad people, murderers, rapists, that are being picked up off the street by ICE. So again, there's an Alpha News, our kind of equivalent alternative media, has been reporting on this. We've been reporting on this at Powerline and American Experiment, but the local legacy media TV channels, the newspapers, are given the party line that ICE is there as oppressors and terrorists and, going into schools. They're not going into schools. Going into hospitals. They're not going into hospitals. Just snatching people off the street at random.
Right.
So this is what they're seeing on TV. None of it's true. Again, has been the case for a decade at least. You get better information in Minnesota from the New York Post or the Daily Mail or Fox News about what's going on in Minnesota than you do from the local ABC or CBS affiliate in town. It's just an amazingly bizarre situation where local media report whatever Democrats approve, and to get the real story, you got to look on the website for the New York Post.
Yeah, so it's the same thing in Chicago. We know that dynamic well. One last question. The interesting thing about the Melugin report, too, and this is relevant everywhere that ICE is, putting these lists up of the people that have been apprehended. One of the other questions in these sanctuary jurisdictions is, how is somebody convicted of murder back out on the streets such that ICE apprehends them? How are they getting convicted of these serious violent crimes and if they have, and you know, essentially, if they have served their sentence, how are they getting out so fast? I mean, it's almost it raises another question about the local criminal justice system.
Well, it's not. It's broken beyond repair. So if you are convicted of murder in Minnesota, you get sentenced to, say, 30 years. Under the bizarro math we have in our criminal justice system, you only serve half. You serve 15 years. So some of these people were sentenced to sentences like that and got out in the normal course of things, normal here being they serve half their sentence. And so that's how somebody who murdered one or more people is out on the street in 10, 15 years. And we have a Soros-style prosecutor in our largest county, Hennepin County, which includes Minnesota. She doesn't believe in prosecuting crime. She only believes in prosecuting police officers who get involved in incidents while they're prosecuting crime. It's just a world turned upside down.
Bill Glahn is policy fellow at the Center of the American Experiment, contributor to Powerline, powerlineblog.com. Bill, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
Hello? Sir, this is Officer Peterson. There's been a string of break-ins in the area, and your office, it was hit.
Hit? What do you mean? We were robbed?
Looks like the back door lock was easily pried open, and they moved through the building like they knew exactly what to take. We see wires everywhere. No computers.
What? No computers? I just upgraded everything.
Looks like they moved fast. We only found out because a neighboring business had their alarm go off. Do you have any security cameras?
No, nothing.
Don't wait until it's too late. Goldilocks protects Chicagoland businesses with custom security solutions. From reinforced commercial doors with keyless entry to cameras and 24/7 monitoring that alerts authorities immediately. Schedule a free on-site assessment at GoldilocksInc.com. Again, that's GoldilocksInc.com. Plus, AM 560 listeners get their first 3 months of monitoring free with a new install. Call 708-889-5600. That's 708-889-5600. Goldilocks, Chicago's premier locksmith doors and security systems company since 1981.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 7:37, you know, we really need to set up a revolving GoFundMe campaign and account for Chicago Dem politicians who can't pay their bills. BLM Brandon, Stacey Davis Gates, and now Triple Threat. Triple Threat can't pay her credit card bill. Mark Lennon, wirepoints.org, joins us. All things Illinois policy related, 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 39 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A man has been charged in the stabbing death on the CTA Blue Line over the weekend. According to reports, 40-year-old Demetrius Thurman has been charged with first-degree murder. Thurman is due back in court later today. The LaGrange trustees have approved plans to build condo units where Jackson Square Mall currently sits. The plans for the 5-story building received mixed reactions, specifically since the plans call for tearing down the 120-year-old Art Deco building. Meanwhile, officials in Geneva will not be appealing a decision by the Geneva Historic Preservation Commission to deny a developer's proposal to tear down a blacksmith shop that was built in 1845 and replace it with condos. Some council members argued that while change is good, the proposal received was not good enough to recommend tearing down the historic building. And the Chicago Bears will be meeting up with the Los Angeles Rams Sunday at 5:30 at Soldier Field. The Bears are just 2 wins away from a Super Bowl appearance. This report is a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device when you download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile or text the word app to 64636. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt explains our involvement in Venezuela.
They are not generating any revenue from their oil right now. They can't move it unless we allow it to move because we have sanctions, because we're enforcing those sanctions.
They are running Venezuela through the leverage they have over the only thing that Venezuela has that can make currency for the police state that is largely still in power there after Maduro was taken to the United States.
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Sean Thompson at 4 on AM 560. The Answer.
It's Reveille. Next week, Illinois state legislators return to the Capitol to begin spring session. The first thing they should focus on is cutting spending, as the latest budget forecast projects a $2.2 billion deficit. But they won't. Speaker of the House Chris Welch has already indicated his desire for a millionaire's tax again. As a reminder of the Democrats' proclivities to spend, tax, and borrow, State Rep Brad Halbrick in a recent interview noted Pritzker has increased the budget on average over $2 billion a year for the last 7 years, for a total of $15 billion. And to pay for that, he has added nearly 50 tax and fee increases and increased bonded debt to $90 billion, a record. Of course, Illinois Democrats are placing the blame for the looming deficit on Donald Trump. A recent report from the Commission on Government Forecasting and Accountability shows that in December, Illinois received $83 million less from Washington than the previous year, as the Trump administration tightens up spending and accountability. According to the Chicago Tribune, Pritzker's own budget office warned that the spending cuts from Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill could reduce Medicaid funding to Illinois and force the state to contribute an additional $1.7 billion to maintain coverage. Pritzker's budget office is also projecting added state costs for SNAP of $770 million, $70 million for administrative expenses, and $700 million in penalties for payment errors. Yet another reminder that errors, in other words, fraud, is rampant in the state. Meanwhile, billions of tax dollars are being wasted funding political activist groups. There is plenty to Doge in Illinois. At my DogeIL.com webpage, you can view all the grants to NGOs in the state budget and get involved in exposing the wasteful spending. I'm Jeannie Ives. Join me Sunday from 7 to 9 p.m. on this station and sign up for my newsletter at breakthrough-ideas.com.
I can't believe how much better Dad's doing since we brought on Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest.
I know. He's more engaged, more himself. It makes such a difference having him right here at home. Around the photos, his old record player, his favorite recliner, all the little things he knows. That familiarity really matters with dementia.
And their caregivers, they're just incredible. They treat him with so much patience and respect.
Plus, they helped us tap into a Medicare program that offers 80 hours of respite care for Alzheimer's and dementia.
We're not worried anymore, and Dad gets to stay where he's happiest, at home.
Trust the caregivers at Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest, serving Cook, DuPage, Kane, Kendall, and Will counties. You can call them 24/7 at 331-281-0728. Again, that's 331-281-0728. And tell them AM 560 sent you. Senior Helpers of Naperville Southwest. Senior care, only better.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Jam-packed on Lakeshore Drive southbound between Belmont Avenue and Fullerton Parkway, all because of a collision taking out the right lane. And it's a slow ride inbound on the Bishop Ford between 115th Street and the Dan Ryan. 23 minutes inbound on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Byrne Interchange. Outbound is 11. Inbound Stevenson from the Tri-States Lakeshore is 31 minutes. Outbound is 16. 29 minutes inbound on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office. Outbound is 21. And the Kennedy inbound, not too bad, from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange, 17 minutes. Outbound is 12. And 16 minutes both ways on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose. This report is the service of People's Gas Energy Efficiency Program. The People's Gas Energy Efficiency Program provides energy-saving tips and rebates to help keep the warmth and savings in this winter. Visit peoplesgasdelivery.com/rebates because the warmest things in your house are the things that make home feel like home. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy with breezy conditions in the afternoon, reaching a high of 51. Tonight, expect mostly cloudy skies with a chance of a shower in spots in the evening, transitioning to a late snow shower. The low will be 24. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios.
Insert Democrat socialist here.
Runs the Democratic House for 30 plus years running. He's promising this and he's stealing that. Where can you get that kind of money? He's using your house like his own piggy bank. You ought to know by now. You can pay off your house here in Illinois, but you can never keep up with the taxes. Oh, how it's always been the plan to have a taxpayer pay, no doubt. Not a matter of if anymore, but when you're moving out. I said, when you're moving out.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. That theme music means it's time for a weekly conversation with the wirepoints.org crew. All things Illinois policy related. Sad news. You know, she's so focused on others that she left herself exposed. This is why, as I mentioned before the news, I think we should collectively set up a revolving GoFundMe fund for Chicago Dem socialist politicians who can't pay their bills. They don't have time for it. They can't focus on that because they're too busy improving your quality of life. That's why Brandon Johnson had trouble paying his water bills, and Stacey Davis Gates similarly had a Chicago Teachers Union, despite the fact that, you know, both make more than $200,000, well more in Stacey Davis Gates' case, in part or tangentially connected to off taxpayers. Same with Triple Threat. I mean, she was a partner at Mayor Brown, and then she was making the same $200,000 plus that BLM Brandon is making. So I was surprised to learn that she got sued by J.P. Morgan Chase for not paying her credit card. Lightfoot served in October at her Chicago home with a lawsuit from J.P. Morgan Chase for failing to pay about $11,000 in bills, according to a copy of the complaint filed in Cook County Circuit Court. The suit says Lightfoot did not object to the bank's last statement issued before it declared her debt a charge-off in March. Her last payment on the card was August of 2025. Amounting to $5,000. Her next court hearing in the case was in December, according to the complaint reported on just recently by the Tribune. A Lightfoot spokeswoman, she still has one of those. Maybe that's why she's overspending. Declined to comment. You know, but again, she's been focused on rooting out corruption in Dalton. She's been focused on the ICE Accountability Project to collect and document alleged criminal activity or abusive conduct by federal law enforcement officers in enforcing federal immigration law. So, you know, we can't bother her with these details. I wonder if she's still, like, if she financed those Rona Destroyer and Corona Buster costumes that she and Allison Arwardi dressed up as during those heady days of COVID lockdowns that they enjoyed so much. I wonder if she financed, put it on a card, the Census Cowboy. Not to mention all those custom Joe Pesci suits with the little fedora she used to wear. Darling. Sad. You know, I mean, if we can raise money to pay Mickey Rourke's rent, we can certainly raise money to pay Lori Lightfoot's credit card bill, don't you think? Mark Glennon, founder of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Welcome, Mark. Thank you.
Good morning, Dan. And yeah, you got to wonder about the scope of this problem. I've tried to get my arms around that, looking at, you know, what the total amount is that's delinquent, unpaid in utility bills in Chicago, where people take a cue from leaders like Brandon Johnson and Lori Lightfoot and Stacey Davis Gates, and just aren't paying their utility bills. The rest of us, of course, have to make up for that. And it's probably, you know, undoubtedly a massive problem, and it goes into credit cards as well.
Well, yeah, I know, but I'm not worried about you know, the hoi polloi. I'm worried about our betters like Lori Lightfoot and BLM Brandon and Stacey Davis Gates. You know, that we have to take care of them before we take care of ourselves, because they're doing that for us, right?
Yeah, there you go. They, there's like you said, a partner at Mayor Brown. She's no doubt got plenty of money. She chooses not to and passes off this debt, on the rest of us or on the credit card company.
Well, I mean, property taxes too. People not paying their property taxes in part because they can't. I mean, story last year that we recounted on this show. I mean, in Fort Heights, for example, the poorest community in Cook County, basically the only institutions or people paying property taxes there are those guys that own the strip clubs.
No doubt, and the number of places like that down there is growing. Certainly, Harvey is in the same boat. The only institution really operating down there is Ingalls Memorial Hospital, which doesn't pay any property taxes, I think, probably. There's no revenue source anymore in some of those towns, and it's a failed government.
Yeah, we were just talking about Minnesota being a failed, frauded state. We have a lot of experience with that here, it would seem. The other thing I just learned the other day, just in terms of the cost of this sort of profligacy, the electronic monitoring system in Cook County that's currently under the watch of the chief judge of Cook County Courts, which is, of course, Charles Beach now. They don't have anybody doing electronic monitoring on weekends or holidays because they can't afford it. Ostensibly, they don't have the budget for it. So all these people that CWB Chicago has been documenting for the past 5 years who've committed violent crimes while on electronic monitoring for another violent crime that were released under the Safety Act, and sometimes in opposition to Cook County State's attorneys who wanted the individual detained. This is really important. The judges knew, and I don't think this has been disclosed publicly, the judges knew that they were releasing people, not only that were alleged to commit a crime and probably more often than not had extensive criminal histories. They knew there was nobody to monitor them, even if there was a good faith effort made to monitor them on weekends and holidays.
Gee, holy cow. That's news to me, Dan. That seems explosive to me. It's like, judicial malfeasance if, you're releasing somebody under the pretext of having them monitored, knowing they're not going to be monitored. Heads ought to roll in many places on that. It's astonishing.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I understand from a reliable source. And if that does indeed check out, then obviously Tim Evans knew. Charles Beach knows. A lot of other people should know, have to know. Tony Preckwinkle. Maybe some enterprising people can ask some questions about this when you have, I know murders are at a historic low, but the census and the polling data seems to back this up, and it's not because of it leads coverage of the Chicago Press Corps. People are experiencing something very different in terms of their quality of life, and tuning in addition, or in part, their perception of how safe they are physically in the city as compared to what they're supposed to believe based on one statistic, homicide from last year.
Yeah, it would be nice if we told them that it's open season on weekends in terms of supposedly monitored criminals.
Yeah, I mean, it's just astounding. Something else you wrote about, too, we talked about a little bit earlier in the program in the context of the Ivy Leagues. DEI, which isn't making the headlines that it used to, but it is still present anywhere you have Democrat socialists in charge of a government or a mediating institution. You wrote about this with respect to what happens at the state level, state agencies, and the DEI re-education that is ongoing under this governor.
Yeah, it continues. What I wrote about was the overt training that's forced on all state employees, and it is as express and radical as anything we saw at the height of DEI after George Floyd and all the rest, rising to the level, in my view, of a potential constitutional claim for speech and all the rest. But yeah, you've got to sit through these mandatory classes and sign off. The employee has to sign off that they basically agree with the policies there. And so, for example, if you engage in microaggressions and use phrases like a melting pot, which is deemed racially offensive, you can get fired for that. I mean, that's what the policy says, and that's the document you have to acknowledge by signing off. All state employees are subject to that training, and that's according to a written training document that's been circulated.
And it has all the hits, right? Systemic oppression, intersecting identities, LGBTQIA, 2S plus theory. All of that is shoehorned into this re-education training that's happening in state agencies.
All of it. Systemic white supremacy, everything you heard in the past 6 years or something.
Mm-hmm. Because diversity is our strength, Mark, and don't you ever let you forget it. Mark Glennon, founder of WirePoints, wirepoints.org, all things Illinois policy related. Also, you can read his musings at substack.com/@MarkGlennon. Mark, thanks for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Dan. Take care.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Don't get stuck with a cold shower this winter. Give CenterGuard Plumbing a call. Get a new 40-gallon water heater installed for just $1,195 for standard installation, or a 50-gallon heater for $1,295 standard installation. A proud new sponsor of AM 560, CenterGuard is offering specials on new water heaters. Old man winter is here. Don't get stuck in the cold, and the same can happen to your water heater. If you're having hot water issues or your water heater's over 8 years old, take advantage of this winter special today. CenterGuard Plumbing is Chicagoland's same-day water heater experts. Call before noon, and they can schedule your repair or install the same day on in-stock water heaters. They'll even haul away your old one, no charge. You're only a text away from install today. Call 847-406-8883. Mention AM 560 to receive winter special pricing. That's 847-406-8883. Call or text 847-406-8883 or visit CenterGuardPlumbing.com.
Listen up, I'm going to be straight with you. Pain doesn't just hurt your body, it steals your life. I know this because I've seen it with people I care about. I'm sure you have as well. If joint pain is holding you back, start the new year by doing something different. There's a way to get real relief without surgery and without putting your life on pause, but you have to take that first step and contact my friends at QC Kinetics. They provide regenerative treatments that help your body repair the areas that are causing pain. I've talked to people who've been through this. They're real results. Achy knees, hips, shoulders, wherever it hurts, instead of facing surgery that sidelines you for months, QC Kinetics treatments happen in the office. Simple procedures that deliver big, life-changing results. January is supposed to be your clean slate month, so make it one. Stop managing the pain and start solving it. Call now to learn more and tell them I sent you. Dan Proft, that is. That's me. The number to call, 312-827-6261. 312-827-6261 is the number. Once more, call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the retirement tax bill calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com. Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim. My friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
So, Tim, let's check in on how you've been helping clients achieve financial security and peace of mind. Perhaps you have a story or two, a success story or two, an example of how you've helped clients recently.
I remember I had a neighbor who, believe it or not, was a longtime listener to your show. And he had come up to me in the yard and said he wanted to stop and smell the roses and kind of get out of his job. He was done taking the train downtown to Chicago every day and
basically working 60 hours a week for a company that didn't really care about him or his family. So we started running numbers, and lo and behold, he was able to retire 5 years earlier. He's now 12 years retired. He's a grandpa. He's loving life. He, too, needed a Protect and Grow blueprint, and he had to make sure he wasn't leaving anything to chance for their future.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns, TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free Protect and Grow blueprint. Call 1-800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tell him I sent you when you call Tim at 800-640-2256.
Chicago businesses. Your phone, internet, and IT should work well 24/7. But when it doesn't, who are you calling? At Overseas Help Desk? If you want clear, reliable local experts, consider Access One. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One has you covered. Access One is Chicago-owned, Chicago-run, and serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore and everywhere in between. We're rated top 5% in customer satisfaction, a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business, and trusted by law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. Let's talk about making your IT work well. Call 800-654-1555 or visit AccessOneInc.com. That's AccessOneInc.com. Tech made personal, locally.
Welcome back to Ask Hassleus.
What's the secret to your success?
Clean living, hard work, and no employees.
No employees?
At Hassleus, give our mattresses a try with no pushy sales guy.
Nobody breathing down my neck?
Plus, way low prices, free next day delivery, and through Monday, get a free box spring or $300 off an adjustable base with the purchase of any queen or king size Beautyrest or Sealy Posturepedic mattress.
You could say Hassleus is an overnight success.
Hassleus.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan Proft here. I can't say I have much sympathy for Eagles fans, but I did love this kid. His post-game comments, this kid named Sam Salvo. Post-game comments after the Eagles lost at home to the 49ers this weekend. This kid belongs in the booth.
Yes, this was a huge letdown. This was my Christmas present, and I got a loss.
Probably would have rather had Cole, huh?
Yeah, probably. I'm feeling two of two things. A, I want A.J. Brown packing his bags, and I want him somewhere else that is not here. I love you, A.J., but, like, you can't make those drops in that game.
No, we lost the part about the offensive coordinator. That was the best. We'll have to try that next hour. It's 8 o'clock at AM 560 WIND Chicago.
A transgender rights case at the Supreme Court. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
It would preserve fairness in our sports, because when you don't do that, women's sports loses its integrity.
Madison Kenyon is a school athlete in Idaho who competed against a trans player and supports the challenge her state and West Virginia are taking to the Supreme Court this morning after lower courts struck down state laws banning trans athletes in girls and women's sports.
Both arguments here from both sides are saying that this is not fair for female athletes. It's not fair to have to compete alongside individuals who have a biological advantage. And for the plaintiffs here, they're going to be arguing that there's no fairness for them in wanting to compete in a sport that they clearly want to compete in.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff outside the Supreme Court. Human rights groups now say there are nearly 650 people dead in Iran's crackdown on anti-regime demonstrations.
Iran's trading partners will face a 25% tariff on goods imported to the U.S., President Trump says, as he threatens military strikes over Iran's response to protests across the country.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. Minnesota's taking the Trump administration to court, trying to stop immigration enforcement, calling an influx of ICE agents an invasion. As the anti-ICE protests rage, with people clashing with federal agents who used tear gas in the simmering anger over last week's deadly shooting in Minneapolis. There's also anger and a protest planned today in New York City, where Fox's Tanya J. Powers reports a city council staffer was taken into ICE custody.
In a social media statement, Mayor Zoran Mamdani called it, quote, an assault on our democracy and called for the staffer's immediate release. The Department of Homeland Security defended the arrest, saying the employee is in the U.S. illegally and has an alleged criminal history.
Fox's Tony J. Powers. We just got an inflation update showing a slight increase in the consumer price index last month, 0.3%, but no change in the annual rate.
Year over year, we came in line at 2.7%. That was the expectation. That was the number we got for November.
Fox Business Network, Cheryl Casoni. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 39 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A Chicago man is facing charges after he allegedly murdered his ex-wife and her husband. Fox's Brian Yenis has the details.
Michael McKee making his first court appearance at the Winnebago County Criminal Justice Center in Rockford, Illinois. The 39-year-old vascular surgeon now faces 2 aggravated murder with premeditation charges in addition to 2 murder charges. It'll now be up to prosecutors to decide which to pursue. Now, McKee's accused of killing his ex-wife and her dentist husband in the middle of the night at their home on December 30th in Columbus, Ohio.
The slain couple's 2 children were inside the home during that attack, but they were unharmed. Adam Beckerink is due in court here in Chicago later this morning, where he's expected to be formally charged in the murder of his wife, Caitlin Tracy. Governor J.B. Pritzker had signed a governor's warrant bringing Beckerink back to Chicago to answer for Tracy's death. And 2 local puppies will be featured in the annual Puppy Bowl on Super Bowl Sunday. Susie and Vernon from One Tail at a Time Rescue here in Chicago will be joining puppies from shelters all over the country as they battle for Animal Planet's Lombardi Trophy of Cuteness. One Tail at a Time will be hosting a watch party and fundraiser from noon until 3 at Babe's Sports Bar in Logan Square to root on Susie and Vernon, as well as all of the adorable puppies who are looking for their forever homes. This report is a service of Air Ride Heating and Cooling, offering AM 560 listeners $56 off any service, including inspections, or take advantage of limited-time federal rebates on a new furnace. Visit Air Ride Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
JP Morgan Chase is reporting a better-than-expected quarter helped by trading revenue. CEO Jamie Dimon says the U.S. economy has remained resilient, consumers continue to spend, and businesses generally remain healthy, while labor markets have softened. He says conditions do not appear to be worsening, though Dimon says markets seem to underappreciate potential hazards, including from complex geopolitical conditions, the risk of sticky inflation, and elevated asset prices. Chase had expenses in the quarter for taking over the Apple credit card from Goldman Sachs, which cut into its profit, but that was anticipated and the stock's up more than 1%. Delta's quarter top predictions, though Wall Street was hoping for an even more rosy forecast, the stock is lower. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda, invested in you.
Mike Gallagher sees it get political very quickly.
We've got a mile worth of receipts of Democrats demanding that Trump do what he did. Chuck Schumer rips Donald Trump for ending the Maduro regime after he previously ripped him for not ending the Maduro regime. You can't make this crap up.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you or someone you love are getting high quotes for dental implants, visit almostfreeteeth.com today. With a medical PPO insurance plan, it's possible to save 90% off on average to be able to smile again. Check if you qualify now at almostfreeteeth.com.
If you're over 65 and struggling with knee pain, Joint Relief Institute offers a guaranteed way to treat it. It's non-surgical and often covered by Medicare and private insurance. It's JRI's Joint Arthritis Treatment, knee lubrication placement that's so accurate it's 100% guaranteed and can relieve your knee and shoulder pain in 10 minutes or less. Book your risk-free consultation today and get back to walking, golfing, pickleball to cycling without pain or medication. Call 708-315-6800. Meet the provider, get an x-ray and joint consultation. Why wait? JRI has treated over 30,000 Chicagoans and performed over 400,000 procedures. You could be next. Over 5,000 five-star Google reviews can't be wrong.
Stop living in pain. Call the Joint Relief Institute today, 708-315-6800, or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. That's 708-315-6800 for the Joint Relief Institute. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted.
Too often, cremated remains are kept at home, then forgotten. At Queen of Heaven Cemetery in Hillside, we have your cremation options. Come visit our new cremation garden, see our beautiful granite columbariums, or view our elegant indoor glass front niches. These offer sacred, lasting ways to honor your loved one. If cremation is your choice, our memorialization is a forever option. Give them the dignity of a permanent resting place where they'll be remembered for generations. Visit us today, CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org.
Has your business noticed changes with your IT provider? Suddenly, tickets take days, projects stall, and the new techs don't understand your systems. You're repeating yourself, and there's zero strategy to move forward. At Unique Computing Solutions, we fix that. Fast response times, expert guidance, and a team that actually knows your business. Get a free assessment today at uniquecomputing-solutions.com. That's uniquecomputing-solutions.com. Your IT challenges solved.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-393-1881. That's 800-393-1881. 800-393-1881.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Watch out, you got a flipped over car on the entrance ramp to get onto I-57 from Sibley Boulevard. Then once you're on the main roadway, you are jammed between 119th Street and the Dan Ryan. And on the Dan Ryan, it's 28 minutes from 95th to the Byrne Interchange. Outbound is 12, but the express lanes inbound are slow. From the Chicago Skyway to 31st Street. 40 minutes inbound on the Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore. Outbound is 21. 42 minutes inbound on the Eisenhower from Wolf to the Old Post Office. Outbound is 29. It's 32 minutes inbound on the Kennedy from Montrose to the Byrne Interchange. Outbound is 21. The inbound express lanes are real slow from the Edens Expressway to Augusta Boulevard, and 18 minutes inbound on the Eden from Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound is 22. This report is a service of the daily podcast of Chicago's Morning Answer and the Sean Thompson Show. Hear both shows with limited commercials when you subscribe for free to the daily podcast at 560theanswer.com/podcast. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy with breezy conditions in the afternoon, reaching a high of 51. Tonight, expect mostly cloudy skies with a chance of a shower in some areas early in the evening, followed by a late snow shower. The low temperature will drop to 24. I'm meteorologist Jason Catarina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. President Trump said, as we discussed yesterday with Stephen Bucci, he is going to hit Iran where it hurts if they cross the red line and not begin, because it's already begun, but continue killing protesters, killing and imprisoning. And when they get arrested, you know what's more likely than not to happen to them. And the estimates are anywhere from 500 to closer to 3,000 people who have been murdered by the regime. You know, under the cover of the darkness they have tried to sustain, turning off the internet. We're still getting images from Starlink systems that have been smuggled in to transmit back images of the killings, the bodies, the protests, the regime opening fire on protesters. And so Trump imposed a 25% tariff on all trade with the United States. Announced any country continue to do business with Iran will face a 25% tariff on trade with the United States. So that's one thing they could do. We talked yesterday about taking the same posture with respect to Iranian dark fleets that we're taking with Russia dark fleets in and around Venezuela as part of the embargo there to prevent Iran from continuing to finance their terrorist sponsoring regime by exporting oil. Lindsey Graham was on Bartiromo. He wants to take it a little bit further, as is Lindsey Graham's wont. Lindsey Graham always ready with the bloodlust.
If I were you, Mr. President, I would kill the leadership that are killing the people. You've got to end this. If it ends well, then peace breaks out. All the state sponsor of terrorism activity stops. Hezbollah, Hamas, they go away. Israel and Saudi make peace, a new day in the Mideast. If the Ayatollah hangs on, it's a giant Obama step backward. I have faith in you, Mr. President. I have trust in you. You are the Ronald Reagan plus of our time. End this will. Right. Stand with the people, Mr. President. Let them know you're going to kill their oppressors.
Let him know you're going to kill their oppressors. I mean, obviously I have no love lost for the mullahs in Tehran, but Lindsey Graham always trying to demonstrate his virility by talking about taking out heads of state is a bit concerning. The Crown Prince in exile, Reza Pahlavi, who is the son of the last Shah, had this to say about the protests and the prospect of regime change there at the hands of the people.
I think the president said it best. He said, we'll see what happens. And I think part of the consideration is that they already know what we propose as an alternative, as a transition. Right now, the focus is on the immediate issue. I think the world is waiting to see in what way the Iranian people will see that they are not alone in this fight, and that the regime that has dared a response will probably get an answer fairly soon. And that's important to embolden a nation. Look, any campaigns of liberation has occurred at the time that the world finally took the side of those people vis-a-vis oppressive regimes. That put an end to apartheid in South Africa. It put an end to the Soviet Union and liberated countries that were stuck behind the Iron Curtain. There's precedence in history, and I think Iran should not be the exception. In fact, the game changer for the whole region is Iran, and Iranians are fighting this fight not just to liberate themselves. They know that as a result of Iran's liberation, the whole world will breathe easier, that the stability that the whole world is looking for will finally achieve. Because unlike this regime that has always hated America and its allies, the Iranian people are supportive and want to be a friend of America and the rest of the world, of course.
Well, that's a hopeful prospect. I'm not sure how much popular support Reza Pahlavi has as a potential agent of change inside of Iran were the Ayatollah to be toppled, but maybe our next guest does. K.T. McFarland, former first deputy national security advisor to President Trump, author of the bestseller Revolution, Trump, Washington, and We the People. KT, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, Dan. Thank you. And you laid the arguments out very well and the options out very well.
Okay, thank you. Well, so, I mean, if you want to address, like Lindsey Graham to me is like, a 70-year-old in a Ferrari. I mean, it's a little bit, it always feels like a little bit of a midlife crisis when he's calling for somebody's head to be lopped off. But, I mean, if that happened at the hands of the people, I wouldn't lose any sleep on it. But it's just, trying to pressure Trump into military action when he may be able to hit them where it hurts in a way that provides less exposure to the United States. That's worthy of consideration too, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just about the mullahs. I mean, we're all focused on the mullahs. They're the face of the regime. But the real power behind the throne is the IRGC, the Revolutionary Guard.
Yeah.
That's their military, but it's a lot more than their military. It's also like their defense industrial complex owned by the military. So where are they in all of this? They're not ideologues. They're not necessarily, committed to the revolution, the mullahs. But they own a lot of Iran. They own a lot of production in Iran, and they want to keep their position no matter what government takes place. And so I'm watching more what's going on with those guys. And at a certain point, and as President Trump has said, and even as the Shah's son has said, let's just see. Let's see what the Iranian people do. Are the Iranian people continuing to take to the streets? And remember, they're taking to the streets not because of a foreign policy or Iran's nuclear program. It's because of the massive economic mismanagement by the mullahs.
Inflation, right.
Inflation is through the roof. This should be a wealthy country. Something like 75% of the population is in poverty. It's a well-educated population. They should have a very different life than the ones the mullahs have given them. So at what point, if at what point, do the IRGC guys say, well, wait a minute, this government's falling apart. We don't want to go down with it. We'll blame the mullahs and then get rid of the mullahs. Whoever comes next, we just want our position protected, our position in controlling so much of the economy. So I think that's what I'm looking at. Where are the IRGC coming down on this? So it's not a matter of just get rid of a couple of mullahs and then everything is fine. It's then what happens next? How do you run the country? The thing that I was so impressed with President Trump in Venezuela was he's learned the lesson. President Bush went in and toppled the governments of Iraq and Afghanistan and fired everybody from the top guy down to the guy who was doing, the minor tax collecting in the province. So there was nobody governing these countries. And then you had an American occupation and then an American forced, quote, constitution, democratic elect. That just was chaos. That was a disaster, 25 years of forever war. And at the same time, I think President Trump has learned the failed lesson of President Obama, when in the Arab Spring, Obama happily toppled dictators from Egypt all across North Africa and the Middle East, and yet had no plan for what came next. Obama just assumed, well, we get rid of the dictator, the one guy, and then democracy, flourishes. That's not what happened either. Chaos flourished. So when President Trump is negotiating, for example, with the Venezuelan leadership, Maduro's gone. But there's a whole structure of governance that remains. And when President Trump is negotiating with him, he's saying, look, I hold all the cards now. I hold the money. I hold the oil. We want this country to be administered in a fair way. We don't want to have the continuing problems of Maduro put onto the country again in the future. So work with me. Work with me you can stay. And if you can work with me and have a good government and one that it prospers and advances the interests of the people, trade with the United States, et cetera, you can stay in power. Now, if you don't want to, if you want to do the Maduro way, fine, we'll get the next guy in line. So I think that whether it's Venezuela, whether it's Iran, whether it's Cuba, that's the negotiation happening now. It's not the Lindsey Graham, oh my gosh, let's invade with the Marines, boots on the ground, U.S. occupation. I don't think that's the President Trump way. But at the same time, he wants change.
And the IRGC piece, that was our discussion with Stephen Bucci yesterday in part, because we talked about, there was some suggestion from some, eggheads at Foundation for the Defense of Democracies, which I like. I'm saying that in a complimentary fashion, about dealing with Iranian oil tankers and the shadow fleets and taking them offline. But Bucci was saying more likely some strikes against IRGC training facilities and basically training facilities and places of particular strength. And the point there ostensibly is demoralize the IRGC to turn against the regime and, step aside for whatever comes next. Is that make sense to you? Would that be a possibility under consideration?
I would say the President's getting briefed on this today and the whole range of options. And usually, I've been in these briefings, and the President is usually offered sort of three levels. The one level would be, strong letter, scold them. That's the Biden way. Nothing happens there. And then at the other extreme is maybe the Lindsey Graham way of of having, really serious military action. And there's a middle way. And a lot of the middle way involves economic pressure. It involves diplomatic pressure. It involves working with some of the people there who might be might not be people you like, but who could be of use to the United States. I mean, before kinetic action, which is what the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies guys was talking about, there's a lot of other stuff to do. I mean, for example, and you mentioned the Shadow Fleet, the Ghost Fleet, there are about 1,000 ships. They're illegal. They're not registered under any one nation, and they're ferrying around from Venezuela, from Iran, from Russia, illicit oil, sanctioned oil that's not supposed to be sold, not supposed to be traded. And these ships it's probably 15-20% of the world's oil supply. So one way of dealing with the income that's coming to Iran, coming from the revenue from these shadow fleets, is to seize the Shadow Fleet, which the Trump administration has already seized, 5 of them. And so, 1,000 minus 5, 995 to go. But taking those ships out of operation means that you're squeezing economically the lifeblood of a country like Iran or Venezuela or Russia. That would take longer to squeeze them economically, but it might have just as devastating effect. Iran is not producing anything the world is buying other than oil.
Gerard Baker, writing in the Wall Street Journal, asked a good question, given what we know, what's being reported, some of the images that are being transmitted back to the West from Iran. As many as 3,000 Iranians killed, thousands more arrested. This is a totalitarian, repressive regime. Where are the protests in the West? Where are all those defenders of persecuted Muslims that have been so active in big city America the past 2 years? Where are they? I saw a lot of posting on X over the weekend about, against the pro-Hamas rally that was held outside a synagogue in New York from these leftists, which is interesting, and very little comment or NGO infrastructure being deployed on behalf of the Iranian people protesting for their freedom.
So the odd thing about the Iranian protests is they happen every 8 or 10 years, and the Iranian people take to the street, often over economic issues. And what's the reaction from the West? They're pro-democracy, they're anti-Mullah, and in the Obama administration, for example, the protests were over a stolen election, and the Iranian people took to the street. And what did President Obama do? Well, he sided with the mullahs. He sent them cash. He stopped enforcing sanctions. So he sided with the bad guys. Fast forward, President Biden is in office. More demonstrations break out. And what happens? President Biden, he sides with the mullahs too. He sides with the bad guys. He doesn't side with the pro-democracy demonstrators in the street. President Trump has set this up to say, I'm siding with the pro-democracy demonstrators in the street, not the mullahs. So where is the West? Where are the people who are so outraged about Israel, who are so outraged about President Trump and outraged about ICE raids? I guess they really are okay with the mullahs because they have not taken to the streets and demonstrated against the mullahs. And it leads you to conclude that at the bottom of all of their objectives, or sort of what's at the beating heart of these Western anti-everything demonstrators, is they just hate Donald Trump. And if Donald Trump is taking decisive action, they hate the decisive action. I mean, to the point where they're like cheering for Maduro. They're cheering for the narco traffickers.
Yeah. And also, too, the D.C. press corps trotting out people like animatronic Anthony Blinken to offer this criticism of Trump. On the one hand, he's going to create World War III. He's reckless. On the other hand, he's an isolationist, and now he's being accused of being myopic, only looking at the Western Hemisphere when there are all these hotspots the world over, except that's not even true. This is what Anthony Blinken said.
But what I'm more worried about is the larger story that seems to be telling, which is that we've gone from, in effect, being the leader of the Western world to being the hegemon in the Western Hemisphere. And we're pulling back. We're actually retreating when it comes to China, when it comes to Russia, when it comes to dealing with the challenges that they pose. And as you know, and there's been a lot of discussion about this, the president, the administration is focused on this spheres of influence strategy, where the big guys, and I mean guys, in each of their respective areas get to do what they want in those areas. The Russians, the Chinese, the United States. The strong do what they want. The weak suffer what they must.
I mean, just setting aside his concern about Russia and China, getting a female dictator instead of a male one for some reason. That's just not. That's the same day he said that. The same day he just imposed a 25% tariff on anybody who does business with Iran.
Yeah, look, Anthony Blinken has never been right on anything in his entire long career. Every single issue he's been wrong. He sounds good, and he scolds well, but he's never been right. And to talk about soft on China, soft on Russia, ignoring China, ignoring Russia, I mean, the whole point of this exercise of the Western Hemisphere, trying to unite the Western Hemisphere, reimposing the Monroe Doctrine, is because China and Russia and Iran and Hezbollah were making inroads into our own hemisphere, south of our border. And so somehow scooting these guys out and sort of hounding them back to their own neighborhoods somehow is a bad thing. Again, I just don't take Anthony Blinken seriously. I haven't taken him seriously in 20 years. And when he pops up every now and then, you realize why you don't take him seriously.
Yeah, no time to start now. The matter of Greenland. Trump, again, mowing the Danes, talking about the defense they're providing for Greenland. It's not robust, to say the least.
I haven't done that, but Greenland should make the deal because Greenland does not want to see Russia or China take over. They don't go there. It's very far away from Greenland. And Greenland, basically, their defense is 2 dog sleds. Do you know that? You know what their defense is? 2 dog sleds.
2 dog sleds is not going to be enough to repel the Chinese and the Russians, Trump fears, KT. But there was a report in the Daily Mail that he has asked the Joint Special Operations Command to prepare an invasion plan that's being resisted by the Joint Chiefs of Staff on the grounds it would be illegal. That's the Daily Mail reporting. What is your handle on Greenland? What would your advice and counsel be to the president?
Greenland, it's essential that for a couple of things. We don't want Greenland in the hands of the Chinese and the Russians, and that's the direction it is going in now. And so the United States has to, as President Trump said, we got to have Greenland. Now, if you take a map or take the globe and sort of tip it on its side and having the Arctic be the primary area you're looking out from, you realize Greenland is essential. It's essential for the defense of North America. It is essential as a maritime trade route. As the Arctic is melting, we're going to have more and more ships go over the Arctic from Asia to the West. And so it's essential that we control it, because if we don't control it, the Russians or the Chinese are going to control it. And how would you achieve that? Well, President Trump, he's got to have a lot of military options given to him. That's fair. You should always have military options. They should always be on the shelf, whether you're going to grab for them or not. But as President Trump and Marco Rubio said, look, we'll buy it. The United States has been trying to buy Greenland since Abraham Lincoln. And I think at this point, it's just the price. There are 57,000 Greenlanders, and they can have a referendum to say, we want to reaffiliate with somebody. We're affiliated with Denmark now. We've never been really happy about that. We don't have any jobs. We're not having economic development in Greenland. So maybe we reaffiliate with America. And what I've said is 57,000 people. What if you offered every man, woman, and child in Greenland, pick a number, 100,000? I'd offer them $1 million each and say, wouldn't you like to affiliate with the United States, become our 51st state, or maybe not, just affiliate with us and let the United States build out on the military bases that we have there, have the United States build out on the rare earth minerals and the economic development, give Greenlanders jobs. It'll be great for Greenlanders. It'll be terrific for the NATO alliance. It'll be great for the security of the Western Hemisphere. So to me, I don't think that this is going to be a hard one. I think it's just a matter of cost and price.
Yeah, Seward's Folly was $7 million. That turned out to be a pretty good deal. Maybe Rubio's Folly will provide a similar return on investment. Makes strategic sense, as you were describing, for sure. KT McFarland, former First Deputy National Security Advisor to President Trump, author of Revolution, Trump, Washington, and We the People. KT, thank you as always for your insights. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Dan. It's a terrific conversation always. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hear about the big stories of the day then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen, I'm going to be straight with you. Pain doesn't just hurt your body, it cripples your life. I know this because I've seen it with people I care about. If joint pain is holding you back, start the new year by doing something different. There's a way to get real relief without surgery and without putting your life on pause. But you have to take that first step and contact my friends at QC Kinetics. They provide regenerative treatments that help your body repair the areas that are causing pain. I've talked to people who've been through this. These are real results. Achy knees, hips, shoulders, wherever it hurts, instead of facing surgery that sidelines you for months, QC Kinetics treatments happen in the office. Simple procedures that deliver big, life-changing results. January is supposed to be your clean slate month, so make it one. Stop managing the pain and start solving it. Call now to learn more and tell them Dan Proft, that's me, sent you when you do. The number 312-827-6261. That's 312-827-6261. Call QC Kinetics to start the year right. 312-827-6261. Dan Proft here to tell you about an opportunity for you to promote your business and to make a difference this Christmas season. I'm talking about our Food for the Poor Business Benefactor Program. We've partnered with Food for the Poor to provide life-saving food and water for thousands of children and their families in Latin America and the Caribbean. Your business can be a part of this effort. Become a Food for the Poor business benefactor by making a $2,500 tax-deductible donation to Food for the Poor. That donation will help more than 30 children for an entire year. And when you do that, AM 560 will give you 40 one-minute commercials to air here on AM 560 The Answer between 5 a.m. and 8 p.m., Monday through Friday, at no additional cost to you. To take advantage of this deal, just call John Gallagher at 847-472-8950. Again, that's 847-472-8950. One more time, the number, 847-472-8950. Or go to 560theanswer.com/food for the poor. That website again, 560theanswer.com/food for the poor.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 8:38, we'll talk tech with Rob Cole, President and CEO of Cole Digital. That's 8:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 40 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. The Harvey City Council met last night without its mayor. The meeting was the first one for the city in 3 months. The city of Harvey has found itself in a severe financial crisis and has had to lay off large portions of fire and police staff as it navigates about $150 million in debt. The city's mayor pro tem says officials are working to make things better. The body of a missing Chicago school teacher has been found. The City of Chicago Police Department is confirming its Marine unit recovered the body of Linda Brown from the water in the 3100 block of Lakeshore Drive just before noon yesterday. Brown had been employed as a special education teacher at Robert Healy Elementary School. School officials say they're working closely with the Chicago Public Schools Crisis Management Unit to provide grief counseling and support to students and staff members. And the Chicago Bears will be meeting up with the Los Angeles Rams this Sunday at 5:30 at Soldier Field. The Bears are just 2 wins away from a Super Bowl appearance. This report is a service of AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Big savings on full mouth dental implants are here at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. Medical insurance can make what used to cost a fortune surprisingly affordable. Don't wait. Take the 60-second quiz to see if you qualify at AlmostFreeTeeth.com. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560. The Answer.
Alex Marlow explains his mission.
We're not going to play games here. We're not just going to court clicks. We're not just going to court shares. I'm going to give you the news. The news is what you're going to get in the show, and a deep analysis from great guests. What I'm trying to do here is try to save the country as best I can for my 4 children. I'm doing this for them. I'm doing this because I believe in America.
The Alex Marlow Show, weekdays at 11, right before Scott Jennings at noon on AM 560. The Answer.
I'm Rob Cole, owner of Cole Digital in Frankfort, the finished basement experts. Our CAD design team will craft a one-of-a-kind plan with a custom bar or kitchenette, a wine cellar, fitness room with a glass entry, and one of our signature home theaters or media rooms. With a Sony laser projector, 120-inch screen, and Dolby Digital surround sound. Or a video wall so you can watch 5 games at once. Acoustic treatment and architectural lighting complete the look. Tour our Cole Digital Smart Living Design Center, the largest in America, 15,000 square feet. 5 themed theaters, 5 gourmet kitchens, and 30 rooms of audio-video, lighting, smart home technology, and great design ideas. We're a conservative-owned local company that also gives back to our community. Visit us at coledigital.com. That's KOLE colddigital.com or call us at 815-469-2000 and we'll bring the showroom to you. Cold Digital, what smart living is all about.
That's cold! Don't get stuck with a cold shower this winter. Give CenterGuard Plumbing a call. Get a new 40-gallon water heater installed for just $1,195 for standard installation, or a 50-gallon heater for $1,295 standard installation. A proud new sponsor of AM 560, CenterGuard is offering specials on new water heaters. Old man winter is here. Don't get stuck in the cold, and the same can happen to your water heater. If you're having hot water issues or your water heater's over 8 years old, take advantage of this winter special today. CenterGuard Plumbing is Chicagoland's same-day water heater experts. Call before noon, and they can schedule your repair or install the same day on in-stock water heaters. They'll even haul away your old one, no charge. You're only a text away from install today. Call 847-406-8883. Mention AM 560 to receive winter special pricing. That's 847-406-8883. Call or text 847-406-8883 or visit CenterGuardPlumbing.com.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
Hi, I'm Tony Dreyfus, founder and president of Metropolis Coffee Company and a proud new customer of Signature Bank. We're a 19-year-old specialty coffee roaster located in the heart of Chicago. Some of your favorite restaurants and cafes serve our coffee. As a small business manufacturer, we understand the importance of working with the right bank, and that's why we made the move to Signature Bank. We were tired of the impersonal service that our large bank had provided. A friend referred us to Signature Bank, and their team was on site to understand our operations firsthand. They provided us the working capital to continue our successful business operations and to fuel our ambitions for innovation and growth. We now have the flexibility to grow at our own pace. That personal touch, you can't find that at a large bank, but we found it at Signature, and we can't thank them enough.
Signature Bank helps local businesses succeed. Let Signature Bank turn your business vision into reality. Visit signaturebank.bank. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. You're jammed on the Eden Expressway inbound at Elston Avenue, all because of a collision. It's stop and go from Cicero Avenue, so it's 18 minutes from Lake Hook to Montrose. Outbound is 26. The Kennedy inbound from Montrose to the Burn Interchange, 36 minutes. Outbound is 21, but jam-packed in the express lanes inbound from the Eden's Expressway to Ohio Street. Inbound Eisenhower from Wolf to the O Post Office, 52 minutes. Outbound is 33. And it's a stop-and-go ride on the northbound side of Lakeshore Drive between Foster Avenue and Hollywood Avenue. 35 minutes inbound on the Stevenson from the Tri-State to Lakeshore. Outbound is 22. 35 minutes inbound on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Outbound is 12. This report is a service of Mattress Firm. The once-a-year sale and clearance is here. Upgrade today with Mattress Firm's quality selection of top brands. Let their sleep experts find the perfect bed to help transform your nights. They make sleep easy. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today will be mostly cloudy with breezy conditions in the afternoon, reaching a high of 51. Tonight, expect mostly cloudy skies with a chance of a shower in spots in the evening, transitioning to a late snow shower. The low will be 24. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. Let's talk applicable AI. What is in the offing in 2026 or the near term? We've talked a lot about AI in terms of thinking about markets and investments and economic development, the data centers, the energy needs. We've talked about some of the early stage robots that could be part of households of the future. Neo versus Optimus versus Atlas. But let's talk about like applicable AI. What is here? You know, what did William Gibson say? The future is here, but it's unevenly distributed. Well, what's more evenly distributed, accessible to Sally Housecoats and Johnny Punch Clocks around the country in Chicagoland? To help us with that, please be joined by Rob Cole. He's the president and CEO of Cole Digital. That's Cole with a K, Kole digital.com. Rob, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me.
So you attended the Consumer Electronics Show, yes?
Yes, in Vegas. Yeah.
All right. And how'd you do at the tables?
I actually don't spend much money on gambling there.
All right, so there you go. That's the kind of a good judgment that we like. That was a credentializer right there. That was a trick
Right.
question. So like this is your business. What is something that you're talking about with clients in terms of as I said, the applicable AI for your life in 2026?
The smart living is what it's all about now. It's leveraging AI in all the different walks, everything from software to B2B, manufacturing, security. We use it for our industry called smart living, but it's in audio, video, and lighting and all kinds of stuff like that too.
So yeah, right. Your focus is home automation, right? That's
Exactly.
yeah. And so I mean, give us an example. I buy a new condo or a new home in the suburbs somewhere, and I want to, update the flat screens and the lighting system and the audio system and so on and so forth. I mean, how does the sort of AI or AI powered systems work?
Well, years ago, when Bill Gates was building his big house, he was telling people that when people would enter the house, they would put a bracelet on, and then with that technology, he would know how many people and who was in every room of the house. So everything can adjust itself. Nowadays, because everybody has a cell phone in their pocket, we're using technology, it's called beacons, which are little devices that plug into outlets, and UWB, it's called ultra wideband technology. So we can detect everybody that's in each room of the house. And by knowing that information, we can adjust the temperature in the room, the humidity, play music at the level and the style of music that people want. We can adjust even change the lighting in the room, and then also the art on the walls would actually change according to the people that are in each room.
And so what else can you automate? I mean, I mentioned some of these robots that are already being marketed now, like Neo, which is still remote operated, but it's marketed $25,000, I think, 20 grand maybe, for doing household chores and things like that. Are there other things short of that, having a humanoid member of the family around that can be automated and, at a lower price point?
Well, this year there was at CES, for instance, there was a lot of robots and different things that are now using AI to learn about the surroundings. An example was a Roomba-like vacuum that climbed the stairs. Another one that used LiDAR detection it was a robotic lawnmower, so it uses lasers to detect its surroundings. A company called Sweetgar. It's a Tamagotchi-like pet that when you buy it, it starts off as an egg and then it hatches. And it's a cute little toy that has big eyes. And first couple of weeks, it's a baby. Then next several weeks, it's a toddler and a teenager. And it starts growing, but it's also learning about its surroundings. So it's listening to the people that are talking around it, and it's actually picking up information that way. They had all kinds of stuff like.
So you're actually going to raise a humanoid from the gestational stage to adult?
That's going to be your pet. It's going to be an AI pet instead of a real pet. Yes.
Oh wow! Well, I mean, when you're talking to, I just wonder like what the penetration level is in the marketplace. Like when you're talking to clients or prospective clients, what are they really interested in? Are people like really zeroed in on this and focused on tip of the spear? Technological advancements, even things that are unproven, in terms of functional use at this point?
Well, technology is moving so fast that even things that came out 5 years ago that we have in our showroom, people have not even seen. So people walk in our showroom and they always end up telling us, because everybody that comes in gets a 10, 15-minute tour of the space. There's a lot of stuff to look at. We have two-story houses in the showroom, 5 themed theaters, 30 rooms of audio, video technology and design ideas. And so people always say, you know what, I had no idea this technology existed. Just something as simple as our lighting control. We replace all the light switches in a typical house with our smart switches. And each button on the smart switches is backlit text. The text changes its color. We have 256 colors for each button. So the buttons are custom engraved just for that house. So the system has an astronomical clock. It knows when sunrise and sunset are for every day of the year for the next 100 years for that subdivision. So the coach lamps are on autopilot for life, the landscape lights, the Christmas lights, even all the motorized shades throughout the house. So when you ask about other things that we're automating ceiling fans, floor lamps, the Christmas tree when it's plugged into the outlet in the corner. The outlet in the mantle above the fireplace, that outlet's in autopilot for life. So all that stuff is, but now we're doing, what we're doing to push the design edges now and a lot of in lighting. So we're doing lighting that, for instance, changes its hues from the day from daytime to nighttime. So during the day, it's more like sunlight. It has more bluish, whitish hues, and then at nighttime, it turns to a softer, orangey, yellowy glow. And that happens in every light can, in every light fixture, and every lamp throughout the house. And then we're also using a lot of cold lighting, like what we call RGB, red, green, and blue color changing light. But nowadays, even our strip lighting is now incorporates amber and ultraviolet LEDs, so that all of the coves throughout the house, and when I talk about coves, you're talking about like around the ceiling, very indirect light, puck lights inside the cabinets, and this is all stuff that's available right now. Even our light cans, your typical light can is a 6-inch can and that you might see in a house on the first floor of the basement. We don't use any of those. We're using cans that are 2 and 3 inch, and they're mudded right into the ceiling. There's no bezels. So it's a really cutting edge technology. And when people walk in our showroom, they say, I have never seen this. I didn't even know this existed. And that's really kind of why we built our design center.
So it's like optionality. Everything's smart. Everything's remote controllable, as it were, and then you have the optionality on things like colors and lighting, brightness and so forth, and then also everything is smaller and less obtrusive, right? So you're burying speakers for an audio system, and you're talking about the lightings not being the 6-inch cans anymore, and so on and so forth. That everything's just getting smaller, less obtrusive, smarter, and more optionality.
Absolutely. It used to be that years ago we would install a system in a house, and we would have a $3,000 touchscreen. And we had ones that motorized out of the wall and things like that. Nowadays, it's an app on your phone or your iPad, and you're controlling every aspect of the home, and everything's integrated. And so, like, for instance, we're leveraging AI technology. You hear brands like Crestron, Josh AI, Lutron, Vantage, Control4. Outside of our industry, most people haven't heard of those brands, but those are the companies that are at the forefront of the technology that we're talking about. For instance, there's a company called IC Realtime. We sell a lot of these surveillance cameras that we install around the perimeter of the house, and these cameras are really smart nowadays. We'll have a camera on each side of a smart camera, and those are called our spotter cameras. And they detect somebody walking across the property, and they go, hey, Joe, the center camera, take a look over here. And so that middle camera is called a PTZ camera. That's a pan, tilt, zoom. So that camera automatically can pan left and right, tilt up and down, and zoom in and out. And it locks onto the person that is on the property, and it follows that person throughout your property, and it's recording all of their movement. Now these cameras now have AI to do facial recognition. For instance, it knows that that's your daughter getting out of her car, and so it doesn't do anything. But if it senses somebody that is not seen before, then it gives you a notification that can show up as a text on your phone with a picture of the person, things like that.
And this, I assume this is all modular too. If somebody said, Rob, I want to do something with security cameras at my house, but I'm not, it's the smart appliances and the lighting and all that stuff. I'm not interested in that. Then it's all modular depending on what you want in terms of upgrading these different systems in your house.
Absolutely. It's all custom. So, for instance, one person may want 4 cameras around their house. Another person may want 18 cameras. People come into our showroom and see things like smart fridges. For instance, GE has their smarter fridge now that has cameras inside the crisper so that you can actually see what vegetables you have when you're shopping at the store. It scans all of the food inside your fridge. So these are certainly cutting-edge technologies, but it's meant to enhance the life. It's not technology for technology's sake.
He is Rob Cole. He's the president and CEO of Cole Digital. That's Cole with a K. ColeDigital.com for more information on all these technologically enhanced household automation systems. Rob, thanks so much for joining us. Very interesting. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Dan.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
John was an active man. He'd go for runs, walk the golf course, and always take the stairs instead of the elevator. But then bone-on-bone knee pain got in the way. Ow! And affected his mobility. It became too painful to even go for walks. And when it seemed like John's only option was knee replacement surgery, a friend told him about the Joint Relief Institute and their affordable, non-surgical knee pain relief. John met with the Joint Relief Institute and discovered their lubricating gel treatment could rejuvenate his lost cartilage. Safe, effective, no surgery. Long story short, John is now back to being active without pain or medication.
There is an alternative to knee replacement surgery. Stop living in pain. Call the Joint Relief Institute today, 708-315-6800, or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. That's 708-315-6800. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted. Reclaim your mobility with the Joint Relief Institute.
Speaking of technology, information technology. Making the switch to a new IT services and support company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs every working day, well, then meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Proud new sponsor of Chicago's Morning Answer. These are the guys you want to talk to. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for more than 30 years from their HQ in the West Loop. Local and in tune with Chicago businesses is Access One. Whether it's voice over IP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you and your business. They serve thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore. Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, that is, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups, manufacturers, and many other businesses. They will make the switch for you easier than you think. But you have to call them today to discuss your business needs. Tell them I sent you when you do. That number, 1-800-654-1555. That's 1-800-654-1555. Or visit accessoneinc.com. That's Access One, the number spelled out, O-N-E, accessoneinc.com. Access One, tech made personal locally.
Chicagoland certified financial planning professional Tim Stearns discusses taxes in retirement.
Most people are paying more in taxes and keeping less of their money to live and do what they enjoy. That's why we've put out the Retirement Tax Bill Calculator online. You can see with your own eyes just how much you might be overpaying. It's a valuable tool, $500 value, but we made it free for you to view and run your own numbers at MVPCFP.com. That's MVPCFP.com.
To run your retirement tax bill calculator, go to MVPCFP.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Cornerstone Securities, LLC.
Welcome to another edition of Tuesdays with Tim. My friend Tim Stearns, a certified financial planner with TJ Stearns Financial Planning in Arlington Heights. Tim, how are you? Welcome back.
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
Tim, for more than 25 years, you've been helping clients achieve financial security and peace of mind, which has to be rewarding. Doing it a long time. You've got a lot of success stories. on a daily basis, I'm sure. Can you give our listeners an example of a family that you've helped out recently that comes to mind?
We had a 65-year-old call who had been listening to your show, and he called us and he said, he wanted to know, do I have enough assets? I'm really tired of working. I'm burnt out, etc. And he didn't know if he had the resources, and he didn't have the knowledge to get to the answer of that. So we helped him prepare a Protect and Grow blueprint. And by doing that, we helped position his money for income and cut back on the risks that they had in their current portfolio.
Thank you, Tim. If you're in your 50s or 60s, I want you to speak with my friend Tim Stearns, TJ Stearns Financial Planning. Tim will help you structure and optimize your savings to prepare for 20 to 30 years of enjoyable retirement. Call Tim today to schedule your free consultation and get your free Protect and Grow blueprint. Call 1-800-640-2256. Again, that number, 800-640-2256. Tell him I sent you when you call Tim at 800-640-2256.
At Terra Vista of Oak Brook Terrace, dementia care isn't just what we do. It's all we do. We specialize in caring for those with Alzheimer's and other types of dementia. We're on the forefront of dementia care with a barrier-free, stress-free environment, so residents can explore safely and feel at home. But what truly sets Terra Vista apart? Personalized care. We take the time to learn each resident's story, where they lived, their routines, former careers, even the names of family members. Anyone who interacts with your loved one can immediately make them feel comfortable and understood. We meet our residents right where they are. Residents stay strong and engaged with multi-sensory activities, music, art, horticulture, our beautiful 18,000 square foot outdoor space, and even a personal trainer. At Terra Vista, residents aren't defined by their dementia. We honor the whole person. Speak to an advisor or schedule a tour today at terravista.org. Again, that's terravista.org, and tell them AM 560 sent you.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, little football to close it out. That Sam Salvo, that Eagles fan, young man, the guy that I said belongs in the booth, this was his post-game commentary on the Eagles' loss at home to the 49ers this weekend.
Yes, this was a huge letdown. This was my Christmas present, and I got a loss.
Oh, no. You probably would have rather had Cole, huh?
Yeah, probably. I'm feeling two of two things. A, I want A.J. Brown packing his bags, and I want him somewhere else that is not here. I love you, A.J., but, you can't make those drops in that game. And I also want Kevin Patullo flipping burgers at, the local McDonald's or something. I don't care.
Why do you say that?
Whenever he's an offensive coordinator, it's like he's flipping burgers. One side, he's cooking. One half, he's cooking. And the other half is completely raw.
That's a pretty good simile. That's very good. Yes, A.J. Brown reminds me of, was it Tom Thayer who said this about Alonzo Spellman? That physically he's a world beater and mentally he's an egg beater. Oh. Anyway, we didn't get to yesterday. Dave Swirsky did have a victory parody song. The Bears' big comeback win over the Pack.
Had some cheese to grate. 12 heart attacks they came. The Bears came down to one last play. But the Bears beat Green Bay. If you count us out, just wait. Just wait. Got this Iceman making plays. Oh, yeah. And the Bears beat Green Bay. Got the win on Saturday. Cheese grating, soothing. Just love to see you losing. That comeback was so epic. If there's time till it's zeros, this team will fight. In round one, we had to face Green Bay. So the cheese, the Bears did great. And then hand that quick and shake. After the Bears won. Now the Super Bowl we might make. Round two will be by the lake. All these heart attacks will take. Cause the Bears won. The Bears won. Beat Green Bay, the Bears won.
Yeah, that's about the only way I can stand Taylor Swift is a parody song from Dave Swirsky. Although I probably would have preferred the Eagles over the Rams coming to town, the Eagles limping in. All right, thank you for joining us on this edition of Chicago's Morning Answer. Back with more tomorrow. It is now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
The Supreme Court is about to consider transgender rights.
I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
So we hope that common sense prevails.
That's Idaho Attorney General Raul Labrador, a Republican, hoping that